Okay, I think we're live. All right. Okay. Welcome in. Oh, hey. Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? Hey, here. It's good to see you. Intrepid Chip. Oh, I got all your messages, Intrepid Chip. I got all your photos. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for the raid. That's so kind of you. So much. You guys might be hearing some background noise. There's some work that's being done on the building outside. So you may hear some banging and like construction noise. So shouldn't be too loud though. But happy Monday, everybody. Welcome in. Glad you all are here. Well, if that's the case, Cody, if we can demonstrate that God is not evil, I just may find him. So appreciate the kind words. So hope everybody had a wonderful and glorious weekend. I know I did. I had a lot of fun this weekend. Saturday was the fundraiser, which was so fun. Although I'm a little mad at TikTok. TikTok, we raised like over I think we raised like $125. Hey, soy sauce. We raised like $125 and TikTok took like all but 49 of it. Like they left me with $49. It's crazy. So, it is I was a little upset by that, but Hair to Stay is still going to get $125 because I'm not going to let TikTok um, minimize your efforts and your donations. So I'm going to cover the balance. That's what I'm going to do. But thank you all for being here, and thank you, Benny Boy, for sharing me on Deconstruction Junction's live stream. So I'm actually streaming in 4 places today. I'm here on TikTok, as you see. I'm also live streaming on my own YouTube channel at Trust But Verify 2024. And then I'm also on Deconstruction Junction's live stream. So thank you very much for doing that. And I'm horizontal on 2 streams today, 3 of them today. I'm only vertical. Oh, wait. I actually might be vertical on Deconstruction on the DJ live stream. I actually might be vertical. Let me see. Let me jump in there and see. But I've been told to pay close attention to the oh, yep, I'm vertical. Okay. So I gotta pay close attention to the chat there. So nope, you're doing this is great. Okay, so it'll be I gotta pay a little bit closer attention to that, but I encourage you guys to also, if you want to follow me on YouTube at not just Deconstruction Junction, they're great to follow as well because then you get a whole bunch of different other content creators. But follow me on my YouTube channel at Trust But Verify 2024. One big advantage is that you get me in horizontal. So hope you guys are doing well. Let's start tapping that screen and let's share the live as well. Does atheism exclude God? Yes, it does. Because atheism is the lack of belief in any gods. So Bernadette paradoxes. Yeah, I'll take up guests here really soon. We're just going to let the live matriculate, get out into the For You pages, let the algorithm do its thing. But sharing the live is a great way to get me going. Oh, and I got to change my goal. That was from Saturday. So unless you want to give me heart hands, you're not required to. I'm going to change that back to 10 cents. Because that was for the special, and I will not be taking a cold plunge today. I will just merely shout out. Oh, no. What we'll do is we will trigger an early kick pull. That's what it'll do. So if we meet the live goals today, we will trigger early kick polls. So we'll do 25 at a time. We'll do 25 dolphins at a time. How about that? So that's all that's needed to trigger an early kick poll. So as you guys see, I do kick polls after 20 minutes, but if we hit the live goals, we'll do kick polls after 10. All right. So we've got one in the guest box right now. And what do you consider good and evil? I consider the dictionary definitions of good and evil. Good and evil. So in this case, evil would be profoundly wicked or immoral. And we're going to be talking about whether or not God is evil today. Your God is evil. Nikki, has anyone actually read the Old Testament? God was a vicious, I want to say, probably vicious psychopath. And it would seem to be that way. Colby, my basis of morality is the laws of logic. They are foundational and self-evident. Same with you, Jay the Kid. And where do your morals come from? You'll find out when you pass, and all your non-beliefs will be proven wrong. Well, all you have to do is just give me some evidence, Andre. And I think that's probably a concession that you don't have any. So then I would ask, well, then why do you believe it if you don't have any evidence? Brother, what do you think about Islam? I don't believe Islam either. Okay, so we got 3 in the queue. We got Bernadette, Paradoxes, Golden Kids ATL, and Chess Bum. Got those 3 in the queue. In the guest box. So we've got some people ready to go. And thank you to Crystal J for having me on her show today. That was very awesome. That was a lot of fun. And there are some people who rated that. So thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. Bernadette Paradoxes. And the next one's Golden Kids ATL. And one after that, Chess Bum. So there we have it. So I'm looking for some evidence that God is not evil. So what's your evidence that God isn't evil? Do you think Satan is good? I don't think Satan exists. It won't let you request. Huh. Interesting, Callista. I don't know why that is. It shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, let's tap the screen. Let's share the live. Sharing the live is super helpful. Have you read the Quran? Yes, I have read the Quran twice. And I did not find it convincing at all. We have Maggie Stars 78. That's 4th. And Calissa Kula 276 is 5th. All right. So Callista Cooley is back. Well, it's good to see you. OLEY 276. So I'm gonna keep it very linear today. I think we strayed a little bit. Yes, Crystal J, love the interviews. Awesome. And friendlies, you're welcome to come up and co-host too. I take co-hosts on the fly. So any friendlies that want to come up and co-host, be my guest. Wow. We got a lot of people that are jumping into the queue here. There we go. Hey, Crystal. Long time no see.
Long time no see. I'm gonna be eating right now, so I'm gonna mute up and listen.
It is all good. It is all good. You do you. You do your thing. You're more than welcome to. But thank you for coming up and hosting with me. So, all right. I think we're good at a good spot to take a guest here. But let me go peek over at YouTube real quick. I just want to make sure everybody's taken care of there. So one of these days I will have multiple screens and it'll be a lot easier. But I got to switch between screens. So God will use his wrath in his time. Antoinette Smith. Then you will see that God can be evil for righteous. So there's some evidence there that God is evil. So Antoinette Smith says pretty much God is evil. Hey, my best argument that God is not evil is that he allows evil. God is good as he allows free will and allows us to come to him freely. So God is not evil because he allows evil. So I don't know about that, because he's saying we can't have free will without evil. I'm very skeptical about that. I don't see why we couldn't.
See, there's that allow word again. He's not this, he just allows it.
Yeah, that
That's
allow
why
word.
I'm saying I'm not a bad mom.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not.
yeah.
I just allow my children to do things that other people find bad. It doesn't make me a bad mom. I give them rules to make sure they don't get hurt while they're doing things they shouldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah, you let him. Yeah, you
It
let him.
doesn't make me a bad mom.
Doesn't make
I'm
you
just
bad.
allowing it.
Yeah, yeah. You let him take D rugs and stay out all hours of the night, but you allow it, but that doesn't mean you like it, right? Doesn't mean you're a bad mom.
No,
Exactly.
I don't condone it. I just allow it.
Yeah.
I'm not bad.
No, you're not bad at all. Yeah. Not bad at all. So yeah, that doesn't so if we that's the other thing. Wouldn't you say, Crystal, is like if we insert anyone but God in there, then it doesn't look so good. But then it's okay if God's in there. That's the part that I don't get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So if you're in the queue, please be sure you're at least 18. Please also be sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. Also, please be sure that you have some evidence not related to personal experience that God is not evil. So we're going to take our first guess. And if you're on some other streaming platforms, I'm currently only taking guests in TikTok. So you can find me on TikTok by typing in @TrustButVerify 2024. So if you want to come talk to me, that's how you can do it. But otherwise, you can just observe on the other streaming platforms. So let's go to our first guest, huh? Let's go to Bernadette Paradoxes. All right. How's it going?
Hello?
Hello, Bernadette Paradoxes.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, I'm here to present deductive evidence that entails the necessity of God's existence. And
Uh,
then that argument's going to work in conjunction with the argument that entails that God is not evil.
okay.
Is that
Well,
all right?
well, we're not going to be talking about God's existence because I've already conceded that, because I have an if statement there.
So
So
you do believe that God exists?
no, I don't believe it, but I'm saying if God exists. So we're not. So I'm going to shut down anything related to evidence about God's existence. So we're talking just about whether or not God is evil. So first of all, are you at least 18?
Yeah. So are you invoking like
All
a
right.
material or subjunctive conditional there?
I got a couple more questions.
I notice how you're dodging. It's like a blunder already. You look really bad.
It's not a dodge.
It is a dodge. Now you're just like internalizing what I'm saying.
All right. I have some questions, Bernadette.
Slow
Yeah,
down.
you're just
Slow
you're
down.
deflecting.
Try some decaf, pumpkin. Try some decaf.
Yeah,
Your
you got.
side
He just
character.
wants
You gotta-
to
Please muzzle
calm
yourself.
down.
You're a side character, Crystal.
Okay.
Could
Hey,
you calm
Bernadette.
down?
Yeah,
This
go
is
ahead and
this
ask your
is gonna
questions.
this is gonna go.
Ask your questions, boy.
This is gonna go a lot easier. All right. Let's
Yeah, what are your
let's just
questions,
not
boy? Go ahead.
let's just not do this. All right. Okay. So, which God do you believe in? Bible, Quran, or Torah?
I believe in like a panentheist God.
All right. So you don't have very good listening skills, but I appreciate you coming up.
You're
So, as I said, if you please be in the queue if you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. So if you're a panentheist believer, don't be in the queue. If you're not 18, don't be in the queue. So it's just simple listening instructions, and it's also boundaries too. Just it's all about boundaries. All right. So that was quick.
Yeah. I realized that boundaries are really hard for Christians. And I realized this because I was a Christian, not for any other reason. Because we are told that boundaries don't apply to us when we're Christians,
Yeah.
because we have God's authority to do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really difficult for them.
Exactly. And it's not that I don't want to learn. I do want to learn, but there's still boundaries here. So what gives you guys, what makes you think you have the right to just come in and just talk about whatever you want? This is my house. Do you just go into somebody's house and just throw your shoes everywhere and just sit where you want? Or are you polite and you wait for things, because you're a guest? That's what you are, a guest. So act like a guest if you want to be a guest. If not, if you're not a guest and you're out of pocket in somebody's house, what happens? You get thrown out. That's what happens. So It's pretty simple. It's almost like it's like the rules of etiquette, right, Crystal? You know, it's like just
Exactly.
common sense etiquette and manners. Yeah. So I don't understand why people just think that just the sense of entitlement is just mind-boggling to me. All right, so let's go to Golden Kids ATL. Oh, you were gonna say something?
No, I just find it so funny that these people come up so angry and aggressive right off the bat before you've even had a chance to get down to the topic. It's
Yeah,
wild to me.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So again, we're gonna be doing uh, what's your best evidence that God is not evil, not related to personal experience. Okay, Golden Kids ATL, how you doing? All right, we're just waiting for the the red and blue ball to stop spinning. That's all we're waiting for. And it's still spinning. So we might have a little connection issue there. So there's a chance we may just go on to the next one. There's a chance we may just go on to the next one. And I'm trying to put in my alt. All
There you
right.
go.
Oh, there we go.
It popped up.
Yay. All right. How's it
How's
going?
it going? It's going good.
Oh, good. Are you at least 18?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay. I don't know if it's your mic or maybe your Wi-Fi connection, but you're kind of cutting in and out. So
He's got red bars.
he's got red bars.
I'm just pulling into the house, so I'm about to get hooked up to Wi-Fi.
Oh, you're driving too. Okay. Well, here, once you reconnect back when you're done driving, because you can't be up if you're driving. So
Yeah, I'm literally parked.
yeah, yeah, no, I can't. I still can't have you up. Sorry. Even if you're just about to park, it's still driving. So this is TikTok terms of service. So you cannot be driving. You have to be at least 18, and you have to have evidence not related to personal experience that God is not evil. So that's what we're talking about today. But come on back in, Golden Kids ATL, and we'll bring you back in. So I'll take you after this next guest. All right. We'll do chest bump. How's it going, chest bump?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, doing well. Doing well. Hey, are you at least 18?
Yes, and then some.
Okay, excellent. And then do you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran?
You would classify me as believing in a God of the Bible.
Okay. And then what's your best evidence, not related to personal experience, that God is not evil?
Well, let me first. Are you concerned with getting to the truth of something? Are you ready to go deep?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, because I see everything in a more philosophical sense, as in concepts that have the right to exist,
Okay.
and one of them is God. For God is, as Anselm said, that which is greater than you can conceive. So that's always going to be there, the greater thing.
Okay.
So when it comes to that and God, uh, that concept, okay, that concept cannot be evil, because to be evil you have to have an adversary. God has no adversary, as being the concept is all powerful. If he's all powerful, you have no adversary. So you are not evil, and evil in itself requires something that's sustaining already. So evil in itself is not sustainable. So no, God is not evil.
Why do you need to have an adversary to be evil?
Well, what are you evil against?
You could just be evil against existence. We could be the adversaries, couldn't we?
Then how do you gauge that? What do you know? When we talk about evil, it's because they did this, that's compared to that. They did this. God has no reason to do that. He's the one that sets the standards.
Yeah.
Evil is weakness. God is not evil, because evil is actually weakness.
Evil is weakness. Well, the dictionary definition defines it as profoundly moral, immoral, and wicked. So,
Okay, yeah, and that's what we're saying is weakness. And God, if he's all powerful, he cannot be weak. So therefore, God is not evil.
what's your evidence of that? Because that sounds like a presupposition.
Common sense. It's called common sense. It's your basic reasoning skills. That's the evidence. Yes, that's the only evidence we ever have about anything.
Okay,
I
so
don't think
understanding.
though that evil equates to weakness. Those two words are not
And why? Hold on a
synonymous.
second. Yeah, why do you think God is evil? Okay, who's to say what you're about to present is why is I equating to that God is evil then because of these stuff? That doesn't mean God's evil. You're just describing evil. That doesn't mean He actually is evil because of this stuff. Why are you making that equation? That's your issue.
no, it's not our
I can
issue
equate
because
it to his own
yeah.
words.
And also one of the things is that we have a question up here. It's not a statement or a proposition. It's just a question. So we're not offering any information. So I mean, it's just the same as if I said, what's your best evidence that God is good?" It's just the same thing, just worded
Thinking
differently.
on a higher level, and our things have to be solved on a higher level. And so I'll leave you with that. Just start thinking for yourself. Have a good day.
Okay. So in other words, he had no evidence that
I
God is not evil.
Yeah. Not only that, but I'm guessing, just guessing here, that he's not a chess grandmaster. Okay, I'm just that's just a
That's a
guess.
guess. Maybe he just likes chess. I like chess.
I
I
think he's
suck
just.
at chess,
I
but
do too.
I like it. Yeah.
I like chess too,
Yeah.
actually.
I like it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him some questions about it too, but he dropped down so fast
Oh, well, he said
to
I'm
make
going to go,
sure.
so I just dropped him. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no point in
Oh,
watching him
okay.
leave. All right. So Golden Kids
Yeah, true.
ATL is back up. So let's bring Golden Kids ATL back up. All right. All right, Golden Kids. How you doing? You stopped
What's up, man?
driving?
Yeah, I'm at the house.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. And you're at least 18, right?
Yeah, I'm 29.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then do you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran?
Bible.
Okay. And then what's your best evidence, not counting personal experience, that God is not evil?
I'd say it's gonna be I point to the fundamental attribution error.
Fundamental attributes?
Fundamental attribution error.
The
It's a
fun
term in psychology.
Okay, the fundamental attribution error. I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
Yeah, so I could give you examples. Say, for instance, somebody cuts you off in traffic. Your first denotation of that person might be that they're they're a bad person. Or you might attribute their actions to their character.
Uh-huh.
It might be like that. Oh, that person's a jerk or whatever.
Okay, I see. I see. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in that person's perspective, they might be going to go check on their wife at the hospital who's giving labor and maybe having a little bit of complications. So in their perspective, they're saving the world. In their perspective, they're characteristically a bad person. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so, but if it was you in that position and you was doing the same thing, cutting somebody off in traffic, we always find a way to justify our actions, but fail to conceptualize um, the justification for others' actions.
Yeah. I see where you're going with that. Um and
Yeah. So basically, my evidence for God is due to our limited perspective. We can't really say, well, God is evil because we don't have the perspective that contrasts reality to
mhm.
totality.
Okay.
Or to,
All right. So is this an argument that God is not evil, or are you saying
well,
that
it's an
we just don't know?
yeah, it's an argument that saying that God is evil is disingenuous and can't be concluded through logic or man's logic at least because it's imperfect.
Mm-hmm. And so do you acknowledge that there are evil things? Like there are things that we could look at, like actions or outcomes that we could look at and say that they are evil and judge them as evil?
I mean, we do that. We do that. I mean,
Right.
that's exactly how people are punished, and we send murderers to jail. We take a life for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that what we do categorize as evil is something that um, detracts or something that doesn't sustain life, right? So something that is
Like harmful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So everything that's um chaotic tends to decay, right? And to
Mm-hmm.
basically disannulling or take or undoing. So that's why we categorize those things with evil because it basically basically tends to unalivement, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can
the
I
things
ask
that
a
we categorize,
question?
yeah.
So are you saying that I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. So I'm not straw manning you. I'm asking, okay? Are you saying that we can't know what's really evil because our minds are just human minds, so we can't really know whether God is evil because
No.
we're
I
incapable of
I
knowing?
think that we can discern between good and evil, because like I said, we understand like what's good because it preserves life. You know, it provides the conditions for life, right? Like a family, right? You know, that's a
Right?
family.
But so don't we know what good and evil is because also Adam and Eve ate the fruit that literally gave us all the knowledge of good and evil? We all have it now. That's why we've been punished.
Sure, I guess you can say that.
Yeah.
We're still categorizing good and evil. We're not categorizing whether God is good or evil. I don't think that we have the capacity
If
to do
I
that.
know the difference between good and evil, then I know when God is being good or evil.
No, I don't think so. I think we're all at
Otherwise,
the
that's
edge.
special pleading, which is a fallacy.
I think that we're all at the edge of our understanding when it comes to God, because to say that I know God to perfection is to say that you know, I'm enlightened and I have all understanding. So if you know God to perfection, then you should be able to manipulate the universe how you want to, right?
Where do
I
you
don't need to know God to perfection to know the difference between good and evil.
No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying we're categorizing, we're judging God, right? Basically, at the end of the day, we're not judging right from wrong. We're judging God's character,
would you call how would you characterize Schindler?
evil.
Evil? Do we know Schindler perfectly?
No.
No. So we don't know everything about Schindler, but we would categorize Schindler as evil, right? So why doesn't the same standard apply to God in your world?
Um, well, because God is a spirit,
God's a spirit.
so
Why does that matter?
um, like I said, His capacity of understanding is higher than ours. So if we're judging something with a higher intelligence and a higher capacity for understanding, we better be careful, especially if that being has any bearing on us.
As Crystal J said, that sounds like special pleading. So why should we be careful?
Um, because there are like fundamental concepts that have like a fulfillment of truth. So if we like, if the, like, say for instance, innocency is the justification of life. If we are bound to death and condemned to death because we've broken the moral plateau of divine conscious being, uh, then it might be incumbent on us to be a little bit more precautious on how we approach judging the throne of that existence.
Okay. And in your world, what is the standard of morality?
The standard of morality is innocency.
Is innocence?
Yeah, innocency. Yeah, innocence.
Innocence. So I'm not sure how that relates to morality. Can you expand on that?
I believe that innocence relates to morality because, like I said, if it doesn't tend to life, then it's um, detracting or taken away from life, right? So, if something is truly innocent, then it it it, it can exist because it also allows everything else to exist, right?
I don't know if I think I got lost there because you said if something is innocent, then it allows other things to exist.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not quite sure how that follows. I'm lost.
Well, so we like human beings, we judge people who doesn't allow things to exist, um,
Hmm.
and punish them or don't allow them to exist, um, because fundamentally they're a hazard, right? They're a hazard to the conditions of life.
Okay, so something or someone not innocent is a hazard to the conditions of life.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm following that. Okay, I think I'm with you. I think I'm back with you now. All right. Okay, and so that is the standard of morality. So innocence is the standard of morality. And so are you saying then if anyone or anything that jeopardizes life is not moral, is immoral?
Yeah, I say that.
Okay. And so then in terms of, well then what kinds of life then would a person or someone like we'll just put people, would humans have to jeopardize? Like which lives would humans have to jeopardize in order to be called immoral? And yeah, I'll just keep it there. That's a good start.
Yeah. Well, that's a that's a complex question because I mean, like we see the animal kingdom, they don't have a higher consciousness
Yeah.
or elevated consciousness like we do, but they destroy to live, right? So
Yeah,
there's a
it's
cycle there.
survival. Yeah, it's for process of
It's not
survival. Yeah.
intentional. So we're on a conscious level, right? We have a moral platitude. So their instincts allow this death to take place to propagate life. They don't act on evil instincts. They don't act on instincts like, oh, I want to do innate harm to this person because that's just what makes me feel good. That's not really what goes through animals' mind.
It
That
sounds
might go through.
necessary, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like necessary for survival. That's what it sounds like to me. I think that's what you're trying to say, right?
What do you mean?
Like if say a lion harms a gazelle,
Mhm.
it's almost always necessary for survival. They don't harm gazelles just
Out of out of out of desire
out of
or lust.
or yeah, or out of just for the heck of it, for no reason. Like it's for
Mhm.
survival purposes, right?
Yeah.
So
It's always that, man.
okay.
Yeah.
So then would it be fair to say then that if people harm necessarily, then is that considered immoral?
No, if it's necessary, I wouldn't consider that. You know, even the Bible has necessary harms in it.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah, like we would have to harm animals in order to survive, right? On a basic level, because we're animals too. I mean, that's at least that's what science says, which I agree with. So, if we're harming animals just for survival, uh, yeah, and I think I agree with you. I don't see that as immoral. I see that as fine. If anything, I see it as amoral. Like it's neither moral or immoral, right? Um,
mm,
if it's absolutely necessary. But I'd say, yeah, it crosses a line when it's unnecessary. So then kind of if we shift it back to God, is there any instances that we can think of where God harms unnecessarily?
I don't think so.
You don't
I
think
don't
so?
think that he does. I don't think that he does.
Would
I think that he does.
okay. Was slavery necessary?
Um, that's a tough one. I think it needs to be studied in proper context too, because we do see um, slavery in the Bible, and I was reading through it the other day. Um, but yeah, it's not something I'm really studied on. But I think it is something that needs to be studied in context, because at the end of the day, it did broke me the wrong way too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that it didn't, um, but it did. Um, it was God laying out the fundamental dealings that people are to have with each other and to be um, justified in His sight, right? Um, God is a God of freedom, and at the same time, He's not a God that condones cruelty. I don't think,
Hmm. Not a God that
but
condones cruelty.
yeah. But there were like situations where people would have to sell either themselves or their family members because they had a debt that they couldn't restore. So that put them at a moral deficit. So to make it good or to make it right,
Okay.
slavery was allowed. Um, but yeah, so it's not something I went deeply into.
All right. Well, in your world, because I kind of want to talk about this God isn't cruel thing for a minute. Um, would you say, let's just say, if your parents, is there anything your parents could say that would be like extremely cruel to you? Like, say, if they said something to the effect of, um, Golden Kids, um, I would be super happy if you failed. Would that be something cruel?
Um, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I got two kids, right? I got a daughter and a son, 14-year-old and 18-year-old. I would never say anything to them like that. Never. Because I know not only do I not believe it, because I don't want to see them fail. I don't want to see them suffer. Um, but even if I did say something like that, it like even if I said it just out of pocket, like just I'm just mad or something like that, I know that would crush them. That would absolutely crush them. And so I'd never say anything like that to my kids. Now, um, but here, let me pull up this little scripture here. Deuteronomy 28:63. Let's see. See if you can read that. There we go. Can you read that? Or I'll go a
And
little.
just as the Lord took delight in making you prosperous and numerous, so the Lord will take delight in bringing you to ruin and destruction. You shall be plucked off the land that you are entering to possess. Yeah, I don't ever take anything scripturally and at face value. Like I always like to look at context. And
Hmm.
God has a sense of humor, and He also has a sense of severity as well. And he tries to emphasize that in various ways.
Yeah.
So I would say that there's a little times where God in the scriptures can come off as coarse, but it's always a part of the curses of rebellion. Right? It's not ever a judgment that He delights in or wants to come to
Can
pass.
I share some insight with you guys on what I just kind of heard you saying?
Mm-hmm.
When I was married to my first husband, he was abusive. He was verbally and physically abusive.
So
And
sorry.
I used to say the same kind of things about him that you're saying for this God. I would say, yeah, I just don't really take any of that serious. And, you know, he's got a sense of humor. You just don't really get it. And yeah, he can be kind of harsh. You really sound like you are making excuses for an abusive husband right now.
No, it's not excuses. It's treading lightly, I could say, but like I said, I don't take things at face value, so it's not that I'm not
That's
taking
what I would have said too. I would
that.
have said, I don't really take the things he's doing and saying to me at face value. He loves me. I know he does.
Yeah, and I think the point of this is
I just don't do things without knowledge and understanding. So I'm not going to apply one scripture to set the tone of how I feel about God.
okay. What would you need to know about this passage in order to apply knowledge to it?
Yeah, it has to be taken in context. It has to be taken. It has to be looked at introspectively. You can't just look at it and say, okay, well, God is saying this, or he's a mean God, and he's being abusive.
Yeah. If we're God's children, right? And we already said earlier that um it would be a cruel thing to say to our child, I would be super happy to see you suffer. What context would you need in order to make it okay to ever say that to somebody? I would take delight in your ruin and destruction. What context can you even think of that would make that okay?
Well, the Bible says hardening. The Bible says the sin of witchcraft is as hardening. Is like hardening your heart against God. So if you don't have a heart to hear God and you just continually refusing His counsel, um, eventually you become twisted and wicked and corrupt. And God, He said He's not mocked. It says he laughs at the wicked. When they puff up against Him. So it's really not contextual. Kind of
But did
like
that answer the question?
it's kind of trying to deconstruct God instead of trying to get a kind of condescending towards God instead of trying to get a true a true understanding.
Uh,
If that's the divine revelation indeed, then you should treat it like such.
Okay. Pause there for let me start the kick poll and then I have another question for you. So we're gonna do the kick poll on Golden Kids ATL. It's been a pretty pleasant conversation so far, but happy face to keep Golden Kids up for another 20 or crying face to move on to the next guest. And we do have a pretty long list of guests, so up to you. But it's been pretty pleasant so far. So while everyone's voting, Golden Kids, I have a question for you, and that is it ever, can you think of a situation where it's ever okay to take delight in someone's ruin and destruction?
The psalmist David says that you know he also takes delight in the destruction of the wicked. He says that he hates what God hates and loves what God loves. Um, so I mean, you got to think if some something is inherently wicked and destructive. I mean, isn't that a joyous thing if that thing is finally out of the picture? If something is sitting there, if there's a serial killer out there, a psychopath who's having his way with people and with children, and eventually he's taken off the streets, wouldn't you rejoice?
I would in the sense of justice, but I don't know about ruin and destruction. Well,
Amen.
yeah. Well,
But also, that's not the only people that God found evil. They burned women alive just because they said they were a witch. There was no trial. They just called them a witch. And if they were a priest's daughter, you're going to get burned alive if you've had sex before your marriage. That's not being a serial killer.
yeah.
That's just somebody who had sex before their marriage.
All right.
You shouldn't be burned alive for that.
Yeah, I do got to jump in. Golden Kids, they did vote to move on to the next guest, but I do appreciate you coming up.
All right.
All right.
Man.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Yeah. To your point, Crystal, yeah, it's a good point you make. Now it's a question of deciding then who are the wicked ones, who are the evil ones, and now
Yeah,
that could be just about anybody, right? It could just
it could
be
be anybody.
anybody. So we're not talking just about serial unalivers, but now we're talking about the people who have been having sex and the people that we think are conducting witchcraft and all these people, and how are these people all
Yeah.
the same as serial unalivers? Yeah. So
And that's how you get a supremacy culture, because we start othering every single person.
exactly. And that's the danger that we get into. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So 100% agree. 100% agree. But yeah, I mean, I get I get I get concerned when we have to think about, when we start using like it depends like wording around slaves, things like slavery and genocide. I get concerned about that. Because I can't think of a single situation in which it would be okay to enslave somebody. I can't think of a single situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I've noticed with every Christian of every ilk, okay, every Christian of every ilk, is they always see themselves as the slave owner, not the slave. May I assure you that almost every single one of you would be enslaved. You would not be the slave owner. You are not powerful enough if you're sitting on this app talking today. You are not.
Yeah.
You would be a slave.
Yeah. So Moss, they were not slaves but indentured service for 7 years, then released. And you and punctuates it by you illiterates. That's in the Deconstruction Junction chat. And yeah, that's like some serious Dunning-Kruger stuff right there. So we can actually go and take a look and see what happened here. That's just not true at all. Let's see. I don't think it's showing me the right one on YouTube. It's not showing me the right window on YouTube, but I'll just read it. But yeah, we'll just it's as simple as just going to the scripture. And if we look up the scripture, Leviticus 25:44 through 46. Leviticus 25:44 through 46. As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from among the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you who have been born in your land. They may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. That sounds a lot longer than 7 years. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. So, yeah, that's not 7 years. That's not indentured servitude. And if we look up the definition of indentured servitude, you will find that that is not what they were talking about. So no, that's not what it is.
No, that's not what it is. And let's all remember, please remember, that women never were set free. Never.
Yeah.
Okay? We didn't get the year of Jubilee.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is called, I mean, no matter what you want to call it, slavery, chattel slavery, whatever, that's what it was. And that's what God allowed. Just like what you said, Crystal, hey, am I a bad parent if I let my kids, do derugs? As long as they do it inside the house, right? As long as they do it in their rooms, they can do all the derugs they want. I let my 14.
Right. I just want them to be safe.
Yeah, I just want to be safe.
I'm not a bad mom.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad mom.
I'm not a bad mom. That doesn't make me bad. I'm actually a good dad because I'm putting down restrictions on it, but I don't condone it at all. So you just see how like silly that gets when you just start applying it to other things. We would be talking about calling CPS on that parent, right? That's what we would be talking about. But in this case,
exactly.
this case, if it's God, it's not calling CPS. It's saying, oh no, but that doesn't mean God's bad. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just really interesting. Okay, we got Denny one added to the queue, and then next one is the next one is Be Like Awaken Library, and then Be Like Bonobos. And then Be Like Bonobos. Oh, that can go a couple of different ways. That's interesting. All right. So if you are in the queue, if you just joined and you're in the guest box to talk, please be sure that you're at least 18. Please also be sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah, and also that you have evidence aside from personal experience that God is not evil. All right. So let's go to the next guest. And that is Callista Cooley. You're back again. Welcome back. How you doing, Callista?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. How was your weekend?
It was good. How
Good.
was yours?
It was really good. I had a lot of fun this weekend. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So you're back. So back for number 3. So it's good to have you. And I think I can't quite remember the last what we spoke of here. Let me look at my spreadsheet here. I think I might have put it up here.
I talked about like the different views.
Oh
of
yes,
God.
yeah, all the different views of God existing. Now we're gonna focus a little more on the God is not evil thing.
Okay.
So, yeah. So what evidence do you have that God's not evil today?
Well, I would say that's a question like I have the same question, and I think about it as well, the same things you think about, and like the points you brought up, and I like agree with those, because I'm like, you're right, like why would like evil and suffering's a huge problem, and if there's a God who's good and powerful, why is the world like this? And I feel like this is the same question like me as a Christian, like we struggle with to kind of like, I guess like struggle with like in our like beliefs.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to ask you, I guess, how you brought up, and I like agree with those, because I'm like, you're right, like why would like repeating yourself in the background.
Sorry, I hit the unmute button on the Deconstruction Junction live. Sorry about that. I just meant to switch over to it real quick. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, I guess, how do you explain evil and suffering in the world as an atheist?
I think that it's actually just as we pretty much expect it to be, because we can demonstrate through like evolution, through natural selection and adaptation, that this is a pretty rough world. And it's like a hallmark of survival. Now evil and good is like a human construct, because in the animal kingdom, as I was talking with the previous person, in the animal kingdom, like lions, we don't think of anything they do as evil, because the things that they do are necessary for survival, right? And also they're sentient, but they're not moral agents. Like they can't make moral decisions. And so when you think of it from that lens, it makes a lot more sense. However, we as humans, we do have the capacity to make moral decisions, and the things that we do that could be like if we unalive an animal, there is a difference between necessary and unnecessary for us, right? So we have that higher brain capacity. We have that advanced level of thinking in order to logically deduce whether or not to unalive something or someone necessarily or unnecessarily. And that's the different that's what makes the difference between us and lions. And so so again, what we can see as good and evil is what we can expect, and we can ground those in the laws of logic. If it's if it's illogical to take someone's life unnecessarily, then we can say that's morally wrong. And so that's how we see that morality is a human construct.
Okay, sorry, I'm like I'm just trying to understand your viewpoint on it.
Oh yeah, gotcha. No problem.
So I don't know, the one point that I just wanted to bring up, like, so the whole part where you talked about like God ignored like evil and suffering, sickness, and people getting cancer and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I guess my one, not really argument, but point I wanted to make was that he entered, like, there was a time that us as Christians believe that he once entered into this same world and he experienced like like obviously like all the things we experience. He went through suffering and injustice and betrayal and death, and um yeah, he didn't stay distant. He took it all on himself, and then ultimately he died on the cross. So he felt all those things, and I think we just believe as Christians that there's hope that there would be like that God would make this all better for us,
Mm.
which that's just what I wanted to talk about as well.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Now, in your mind, Callista, could God have made this world without evil?
Yeah, he could have.
He could have. And why do you suppose he didn't?
I think he did. I think it's just like the free will that he gave us, and because of the free will, like even Satan, the devil, like believes in God. He was one of God's like best, angels or whatever, and um I think it boils down to like free will.
Okay. And so when we think about free will, what does free will mean to you?
That's hard to explain. I would say exactly what it what it means. I mean, if you have a definition in front of you, I'd like to hear it because I don't really know
Well,
how to define that.
Okay, I hear that. Well, I think that in many ways, I'm not sure if we have free will. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, if you take the literal term free will, free is without constraint, and like if you define will, that's like desire. So like desire without constraint. Or so for example, if it's my will to sprout wings and fly, clearly I can't do that. So in that sense, I don't have free will.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it as choice, then if we have choice, then what is the difference between choice and free will, would you say?
Oh, that's true. I would say they were the same thing.
Mm.
But I don't know. I believe that God created humans with like I guess to define free will in my terms is the ability to choose between good and evil.
Okay.
So I have like moral morals to do so.
Okay. So what it sounds like you're saying then is that if we only had good choices to choose from, like a set of good choices, that's not free will. So like,
I mean,
for example, like if somebody is injured, like we come across somebody injured on the street, right? Like if only our choices would be, so if God removed the ability for us to pick the person's pockets and leave, like that would be something bad. Are you saying we don't have free will? So like if our
well, no,
choices
we
were,
definitely do. I
oh,
think that boils
okay.
down to like the morals that we have, that comes from our parents and all of that. I mean, I would just say that boils down to morals. Like if you do something like that, you'd feel guilty, or I'd like to hope you feel guilty at some point,
Yeah.
to recognize that that was bad.
Okay. So now if God removed the ability for us to pick this person's pockets,
Mm-hmm.
in your mind, would we still have free will, or would free will be gone?
I feel like I guess, yeah, in this context, yeah, free will would be gone.
Okay, because we'd still have choices, right? We'd still be able to help the person. We could call for help. We could pick them up and take them to the hospital, or take them to
Yeah,
our
I mean,
car and
we could
drive them to the
definitely do that.
hospital. Yeah, we'd have all
Yeah.
those choices. But you're saying if we don't have the ability to do something bad to this person, that we have no free will?
But just like we have the ability to do something bad to this person, we have the ability to help that person as well.
Right. So what I'm driving at is if we only had good choices to choose from, You're saying that that free will is suddenly gone. We don't have free will anymore.
No, I mean, that's the whole thing of free will. There's always good and bad, good and evil, so we have the free will to choose what we decide to do.
Can I ask a question then, a follow up? So, is there free will in heaven after Jesus comes back when we all go to heaven? Is there free will up there?
I get what you're saying, because in heaven, all things are good, right? That's what we believe in.
Right. So, does God have free will? Does Jesus have free will? They're all good according to the Christian belief. And if they only can do good things, why couldn't they have made us that way if they can't do bad?
That's a
And
good
if
question.
heaven is all good, there's only good choices in heaven. I'm still going to get to choose between soft serve and real ice cream. But I am not going to have the option to pick up that ice cream and throw it at the service worker because they didn't help me fast enough. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, yeah.
I think that you don't need to have bad to have free will. I think people assume that because that's how it exists here on earth and that's all they've known.
No, that's true. I see that. I guess just out of because I have 10 minutes on this, I just wanted to ask just out of curiosity, because
Yeah.
I guess the both of you, this goes to the both of you for a
Mhm.
question, but if you guys once were Christians or believed in a faith, not necessarily Christianity, what made you guys turn from Christianity to atheism, to be atheists?
Oh, this is great, Crystal, because we were just talking about this earlier today.
I know.
Yeah, this is great. You can go first this time.
Okay, I'll make it short though, so you can share your story. For me, it was not just one thing, Callista. I questioned things my whole life about the Bible, and I'm sure you've had these questions too. But a lot of times, when you're a believer, you're told that you're losing your faith, so you should pray and do all this stuff, and don't. Whenever you have a question, that's not good because that means your faith is wearing out or something. I don't know. Anyway, I had the questions my whole life, and I turned to apologetics for the answers because that's what I was taught. But once I stopped turning to apologetics for the answers and started looking at the history, the archaeology, the very science of it all, I realized that these stories were just like the mythology from every other god of the time. But I was indoctrinated into this specific religion because of where I was born. Geographically, it was going to be my religion. I didn't have a choice. That happened because I lived in the United States where we're predominantly Christian. If I had been born somewhere else, I might believe in their mythology. I just believed in this mythology. Once I realized it was all mythology, I could no longer believe.
Okay, so you were just, I guess it all just came down to you were curious about questions and you didn't, you wanted to back your ideas up with concepts, I guess.
I wanted to search for the truth. And the more I search for truth, the more I find out that these stories, there's so much history behind them, Callista. These stories are not original to the Hebrew people. They took these stories from other cultures, from other people. They embellished them. They made them their own for their tribe. And then other religions took on their tribal stories and made their religions out of them. That's where we get Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Jehovah's Witness, Mormonism. All of these derive because one tribe wrote some books to themselves, for themselves, to make them and their God seem bigger and badder than it was. And we did all of this crazy stuff with it. It wasn't meant for us.
Yeah. And do you want to respond to that, Callista?
No, I just wish I had more than 6 minutes to talk to you more about that, but
Oh.
because I'm just curious.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, sure.
no, that was all.
Oh, okay. Well,
Go too, so you can always come up on one of my lives and,
Yeah.
and talk to me too.
And
like,
you know,
if
you're
want.
always welcome back. Yeah, you're always welcome back.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Did you want to answer before I
Yeah,
head
sure,
out?
sure,
Okay.
sure. So I'll make it real quick so you can ask follow-ups. So real quick, what did it for me was reading the Bible, and in reading the Bible, the first time I read it through, like all the way through, first page to last, I had a lot of questions. A lot of things didn't add up. And then the more I read the Bible, and I got some of the questions answered, but some of the questions I didn't get answered. And then the more I read the Bible, Calista, the more questions that I had. And then it just got to a point as every time I read the Bible, I'd find more problems. And then it just got to a point where there was just too many problems to overcome. And then I started thinking about logical things like the problem of evil, like the concept of hell and heaven. Like I'm asking this question because I asked myself this question about like the presence of hell. I've asked that before, like where is hell? What is it? What happens there? And nobody seems to really know. Yet everybody seems to believe it exists, and everybody is so afraid of it. Like nobody wants to go there, right? But nobody knows what it's about. And so how can we know something exists without even describing it? Like how is that possible? You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess I would say, what would you say? I guess there's people that claim that they like, I don't know, had moments where they like died on the operating table or something like that,
Mhm.
where they went and they saw or claimed to see like heaven or hell. I just out of curiosity, what are your views on that?
We have evidence that just came out in March. There was a study that was just published in March that NDEs, what you're describing, there's a strong correlation to NDEs occurring, and they know the exact region of the brain it occurs, and that an increase of carbon dioxide in the brain. So it induces a hallucination. So there's a strong correlation to that. The interesting part about that study, Callista, is that for people who had an injury to that part of the brain, like a trauma, like they were hit in the head or something like that, or pew-pewed in the head or something like that, that injury to that part of the brain, and they stopped breathing, the heart stopped. None of them had an NDE when that part of the brain was injured, was
I am
traumatized.
so glad you brought that up. My father did not have a brain injury.
Yeah, I
He
was
was
just
a
about to say.
devout Christian, devout, okay? And he unalived for 7 minutes on the table, and he saw nothing. And
Sometimes it happens,
it
yeah.
broke him. It broke him. He
Yeah.
thought God forgot him. It destroyed my father.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
And probably all it was is that his carbon dioxide levels in his brain were fine, and it didn't
Exactly.
induce the hallucination. So we have strong evidence of that, Callista. We also have some research that has been done over the last 25 years of when they, like people were reporting like going above the ceiling. And so what they did was they put messages in the false ceiling, and then when people reported that they floated above the ceiling, they asked them to read the messages. They said, "Hey, there was a message up there. Can you read it?" And none of them could read the message because none of them could see it because it was an illusion. They hid things in the room, objects in the room, asked them to locate the objects in the room. A lot of people couldn't do it. So it was
And it's also regional as to
Yeah,
which God
that
you
too.
do see during NDE. Again, if you are a Hindu, you're going to see your God. If you are a Christian, you're going to see your God. If it was real, we would all see the same thing. We wouldn't all see our version of what God is.
Yeah, so it's super subjective. So you'd think, Callista, that anybody who, if there was one God, like if it's Jesus and it's the Christian God, that everybody would see the Christian God, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I guess I thought I was more curious because I saw these stories on YouTube and everyone,
Yeah.
was saying like the same things, like a little piece of the same thing. But
hmm
no, that's interesting. I never thought about it like, that way. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your time. I appreciate hearing both of your views.
Yeah, you got it, Callista. And of
Thanks
course,
for
come back
coming
anytime.
up.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for coming up. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Yeah, that's an interesting
That
story,
was
Crystal.
pleasant.
Yeah, it was pleasant. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
I think that's like
It,
her fourth time up, so she's really cool to talk to. But
that was part of my deconstruction too, was him saying that because
interesting.
you know, there are some people in your life, right, that you trust implicitly. There is not a word that comes out of their mouth that you would go, they're lying to me, because you trust them so well, right?
Yeah.
And my father was that man. He has never lied to me my entire life about anything.
Yeah.
And I was still kind of a Christian at the time, but I think in my mind, I was probably deconstructing, but not understanding, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was losing my faith, you know, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when he told me that, like, it broke my heart, and I tried everything to convince him. Like, I was like, God didn't forget you, Daddy. Like, it just wasn't your time. Or maybe not everybody sees the light. Maybe you would have seen the light had they not resuscitated you, or something like that. Like, I wanted him to, like, to just, now I would obviously tell him, well, it's because it's not real, Dad. But
Right,
back then,
right.
I wanted to comfort him so bad, because he was such a good and like loving man. Like, he cared
Yeah.
about family, he cared about his community, he cared about people in general. He really did. And for him to think that after serving a God his whole life, that his God had forgotten him, it broke my heart. It just
Oh,
broke my
yeah,
heart.
that was heartbreaking for him too. That sucks, because it sounds like your dad was, was trying to do the right thing, you know?
Yeah,
And
he
I think,
really was.
yeah, and I think the majority of people are. And so it's just, yeah, that is heartbreaking. That's sad. Let me read some stuff in the Deconstruction Junction chat, just so I don't ignore anybody over there. There's 92 people watching. Welcome, friends. Glad you guys are all watching.
Hey.
Yeah, hey. So there was a good quote in here that somebody said, but it's moving kind of fast. But it was something to the effect of, if you can understand why I don't worship your God or believe in your God, when you realize that it's the same reason as why you don't believe anybody else in anybody else's God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same exact reason. It's the same exact reason. And so I think that's a great great little statement there. And Gresabel Hernandez, new to this live, great context. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hey, Cristiano in chat, you have been muted by the mods because you are spamming, and they won't let you do that. Okay, so don't spam and you won't get muted.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you're being muted.
Yeah, it's just kind of, common courtesy. It's like it's just like just being courteous. We wouldn't do that like if we were in like a a library or something like that, We
Right,
wouldn't just
and
keep
the reason
yeah. Go ahead.
the reason why too is that you don't want spammers in your chat is because the TikTok AI thinks that's a bot then, and that's when you can be flagged.
Yeah.
And so that's why mods get really hot on people who are spamming. We're protecting the live. Okay, that's what they're doing when they do that.
Yeah, that's true. And Gianna had a question. It was way up in the TikTok chat. The question for atheists: do you hate or dislike Christians or other believers? And no, I have yet to meet an atheist that hates anybody. Now, there are some that may be more angry than others, or because you got to understand that for a lot of atheists who were once believers, this is a lot like losing a friend or like a loved one dying. They're going through their grief stages, and one of the stages of grief is anger. So yeah, and also, we may get frustrated at times because it seems like things that we think that are like like obvious, and then if something, like if you say something to somebody and you think it's obvious and they don't think it's obvious, they see something completely different that's way out of pocket. Like, for example, trying to justify slavery. Some people can get frustrated with that because slavery is a really bad thing, and it can get frustrating. So I wouldn't take it as hate. you know, I would take it more as frustration. And, you know, and I get a lot of frustration from people who don't like the fact that I'm saying I'm an atheist, you know. They get very offended by that. They get, you know, very angry about that, but I don't think that they are hateful, you know, in any way. So I think it's just a matter of perspective. So there's a couple of people who jumped in the queue, so let me add them to the waiting list here. Give me just a second, and then we'll go to the next guest, which is, I'll have to.
Intrepid Chimp said they're gonna donate more because of what TikTok took.
Oh,
For your,
that's so
isn't
nice
that
of you.
nice?
That's so nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, TikTok took so much freaking money. It was 125 that we raised.
Directly to his Venmo.
Yeah. Send it directly to what's their names? Heritostay.org. Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. They we raised 125 on Saturday, and after TikTok's fees and everything, I was left with $49.62. Really super frustrating. So now I see why people go offline and like use Cash App and Venmo. But then on the other hand, I may have to talk with you offline about that, Crystal, or maybe you and DZ about doing fundraisers, because like on one hand, I don't want TikTok to like restrict my live because I'm like sending people off the platform, if you know what I mean. Like,
right.
But I've seen other people do that, and so I'm not quite clear on how to do that. So I think I need to learn how to do that.
The easiest thing, okay, if it's like just for you, I just say, hey, if you guys want a tip, all the links are in my bio. Gifts are appreciated, but never required. There, they already know what I'm saying. And again, if it's for donations, I say the other thing. I just say, if you want to donate, you can donate to the link in my bio. Otherwise, you know, just give them the organization.
Yeah.
But I don't say what it is. I just say the links are in my bio.
The links are in the bio.
And by the way, if anybody wants to tip us, our links are in.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
bio.
yeah, that's true. By the way, yeah, links are in the bio. Oh, and by the way, also, what's also very important for me to say, if you're not following Crystal J, something is seriously wrong with your life choices. Like, you need to really evaluate your life choices. You need to be following Crystal J. She has amazing, awesome content, and she's a great content creator. And, you know, I spent a few hours with her today, and I had a great time today. So you guys should all follow Crystal J, everybody. Theists and non-theists alike, because, you know, you can go up on her live and talk to her because she takes guests too. So just some good stuff there.
Sent me a message for you. I'm trying to read it, but hang on, I don't understand.
Oh, for me? Okay. Okay. So, okay, we'll get the next guest up here very shortly. We're just working out some technical things here. But while she's working out the message,
I want to know if it's a super chat or something that was over on the Deconstruction Junction.
Super chat.
The person wanted you to maybe talk a little bit about your thoughts on rapture talk.
Oh, rapture talk. Oh yeah, today was supposed to be a rapture, right? Yeah, that's right.
Or tomorrow.
Is it today or tomorrow?
For the 8th. Maybe there's just so many of them that it's going to be a 3-day event.
It might be okay. So it might be kind of like Woodstock. It just kind of goes on, you know, for a few times.
On. We're just going to, I love you, Benny.
Yeah. So, well, you know, looking at the history of the rapture, I think that was started in like the 1830s. That's like an 1830s thing. That's purely an American thing, right? It's an American 1830s thing. Yeah. You know,
the guy who started the rapture also started dispensationalism.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Same guy.
Did not know that. Okay. So that tells, you know, because there's nothing in the word rapture does not appear in the Bible, right? And
nope.
Yep. And it clearly states that what we commonly know as the rapture, that moment, which is pretty much, you know, what, Christ's coming, the start of the second coming. That's what it is kind of referring to, right?
Yeah.
Something like that,
Yeah.
right? It
But
says
in reality, if we always are taught that it's a second coming, which also bothers me because it's his third coming.
it's
You
actually his
guys.
third coming. Yeah.
First he was on Earth, then he unalived, then he came back and did the Thriller dance with the zombies. Remember, like he came back and all the
Yes.
and they all did Thriller.
Yes.
Okay, and then this would be his third coming.
And this would be number 3. And so if this is number 3, then that means that it also clearly states, correct me if I'm wrong, that we don't know the time or the hour. Even Jesus didn't know, which is kind of weird because
Right.
Jesus is supposedly God, but only God knows. But wouldn't that mean Jesus knows
Yeah.
too? But Jesus said he didn't know. And
I
yeah,
was really confused about that because like conjoined twins who share like a connection to their brain, like they think like the same thing, like they know what the other thoughts are because they've done tests and they can, right? So if you picture like God and Jesus like that, God can't think a thing without Jesus knowing the thought.
yeah, right. But somehow he is able to hide this from
But
Jesus,
somehow he doesn't
right?
know. Yeah, it's weird. It's
Yeah.
weird.
So then how do we know it's actually today, between today and Wednesday?
Yeah.
It's almost like a
I
sale.
don't know. And I guess Benny said that they said it was supposed to be on October 4th too. So I have no idea. I'm
clue.
sticking with Jesus. I think nobody knows.
Yeah, I'm thinking nobody knows, but okay, but no rapture sightings, huh?
And you know, people act like it's been a really long time and stuff, but it's only been 2 days, you know, when a day is 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been just a couple of days, right?
It's only been a
Well-
couple of days. Why are we whining?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, hairetostay.org. You guys donate money to hairetostay.org.
Yes, definitely. Or go to the links my links in the bio and I'll make sure it gets there because I'm keeping track of everything. But if you do use the links in my bio, just make sure to tell me what it's for so I know what it's for.
Yes.
Yeah, so I can clearly keep track of it because if you don't tell me what it's for, then I have no idea what it's for and then it's kind of pointless. Okay, so Santino and Sophia have been added. And we're going to add you to the end of the line. All right, so we had a lot of comings and goings here, Crystal. So I'm not exactly sure who's next, but I think I can figure it out real quick here. Okay, so we
Yeah,
got
TikTok doesn't make that easy for us.
no.
Does it?
Why do they do it like that? That's kind of weird. I wish they
So
would.
weird.
Yeah, or at least allow you to like sort it like how you want it, right?
Yeah.
I would be fine with that. Okay, so Carlos Nomex is no longer here. We can delete you. Crispy Life is I don't see a Crispy Life on the list, so nope. I think a Jason is gone. A Believer 007 is gone. Yeah. Sir Kane is gone. Moonlight Tarot Cafe gone, which is weird because we got 10 people requesting, but like all these people are gone. Follower, is Follower still here? Nope. Follower's gone. Booger McLovin, that's an interesting name. Not here. Nope.
Hey, Jaren.
It's-
Jaren, I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, Jaren. Jaren. Is Jaren in the house? What's up, Jaren? Good to see you. Right on, man. Davey KY? No. Cam O? No. Curb? Oh, there's Curb. Okay, Curb's up next. All right, let's go to Curb. How's it going, Curb?
What's going on, man?
Hey, not much. It's good to see you again. Welcome back.
You too.
Yeah. So what new evidence do you got for us that God is not evil?
Well, so yesterday.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. Can I say something for the chat real quick? Hey, listen. For some reason, some of the people you thought weren't here are here. If you are here, go ahead and request back up. He'll get you. We're sorry.
Yeah,
wasn't
sorry.
showing on
It
his
wasn't
end.
showing on my end. It's yeah, the app is kind of weird like that. But I'll get you next. I think I saw you, Lovely. I'll get you next. So okay, sorry about that, Curb. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No problem. So last time we talked, we kind of had just gotten on the same page as to, what it was we were really discussing.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's.
Yeah, the biblical definition of God. Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta, you gotta be having the same conversation. And unfortunately, it's my experience that even probably a large, I don't know that I'd say majority, but a large portion of the Christian population doesn't quite really know, what exactly God is. So since we're on the same page, I guess let's start talking about some of the troubling things that show up throughout the book and throughout history.
Okay. Well, let me kind of jump in a little bit. Can you present me like an argument that God is not evil, just so we have something to work with?
So I think probably a good summation of kind of all the terrible things not adding up to God being evil in a traditional Christian and Jewish perspective is that existence is still a worthwhile privilege, even with existence is still a worthwhile privilege, or maybe even just worthwhile in general, even with bad and terrible things that happen in the world. And that, you have to kind of figure out where you're going to reconcile blame for that. A very popular Christian perspective is, that we are in fact the source of all that is bad and terrible. And that, those things are born out of people exercising their free will, which may or may not entirely be supported by the Bible, if I'm frankly honest with you. I still have plenty of things that I'm making up my own mind about.
Okay. Let me kind of jump in and kind of ask about this. So existence is still a worthwhile privilege, even with all the bad and terrible things that happen, and all the bad and terrible things that are happening, it's because of us. Did I hear that correctly? Is that a pretty good steel man?
That's certainly a very popular platform. Yes.
Okay. And so based on that, then, well, what about like natural disasters? Because we certainly don't cause those.
Sure.
Like earthquakes and things like that. People die in earthquakes, people die in volcano eruptions, things of that sort. So so where does all that come in?
Well, and this kind of this is kind of one of those where it requires a leap of faith. Okay, so really, as a Christian or a Jew, when someone says God knows best, okay, what they're really telling you is, in summation, is that existence knows best. And I think a lot of people say that, not necessarily completely understanding what it is they're saying, and may in fact actually, if they were to really examine said statement, might actually end up disagreeing with it.
Okay. So I guess I'm trying to understand them, because if we don't control, if there's some things that happen that are bad and we don't control those, and I'm not sure it's about why would a not evil God have those things that are bad?
Well, again, you have to, the traditional Christian perspective is to lean back on the God knows what's best better than you do.
Okay.
And you have to have an element of trust in that.
Okay. Okay. So I got it. So if I think I hear that. So if God knows best, because it sounds like we're saying, well, we don't really know, but God does. Then what then does God? What else does God do then in order for us to trust that He's doing the right thing?
All kinds of stuff. So some good examples of some good examples of some things that I've heard talked about in the chat here on and off. Are examples of God ordering Israel to do some pretty questionable things, and slavery was discussed. Okay. And so a couple things I want to point out. So first and foremost, when you look at the region and the times, a lot of the people that God says, for instance, going back to the book of Samuel and the first king of Israel.
Yeah.
At one point, Saul is told by God, "You're gonna wipe everybody out. You are gonna kill all of these people."
Yeah.
And Saul can't stomach that, and he disobeys God, and ultimately the long-term consequences of that are that those people end up being a major thorn in the side of Israel and wreak a lot of destruction on them later on. Whereas if Saul had done what he was told to do, Israel at least would have been a lot better off. Now, another thing that I want to point out, okay, is that a lot of the cultures surrounding Old Testament Israel, if you want to talk about, some of God's decisions, like, earthquakes and, all of these various things happening, telling Saul, wipe these, essentially commit genocide.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these cultures are highly questionable. And what, hey buddy, one of the biggest things is that Israel at that point is surrounded by cultures that practice child sacrifice. They have children and they sacrifice them to idols.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of the commandments against sexual immorality and things like that, a lot of that pertains back to, we're surrounded by people that are having kids that may not entirely be, really wanted. They're having, illegitimate children outside of their their family units that are, perhaps less wanted and perhaps more likely to be sacrificially, ritualistically murdered.
Okay.
And this is a big, big thing that comes up in paganism a lot. Is there is a history of human sacrifice there, and that is something that is and since we're talking about Old Testament, we are talking more specifically about Judaism. That's been forbidden within Judaism for thousands of years, whereas everyone around them is like, no, this is cool, it's fine. I think it's Moloch is one of the primary deities that was worshipped in Canaan and surrounding areas. That was his thing. He demanded child sacrifice. You must murder your children.
Who was that?
I believe it's Moloch.
You do know that we have found that Moloch was not actually a god, but a type or form of sacrifice, right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, Moloch was not actually. We used to think Moloch was a god that people sacrificed to, but we actually found out through archaeology that Moloch was a type of sacrifice, not a god that was sacrificed to.
Okay,
And
that's not,
why would unaliving children be the answer to stop somebody from sacrificing their children? Like, why would that make sense to go, you know what? These people are sacrificing their children. Go unalive all their children.
so something that a lot of people fail to kind of grasp, okay, when it comes to when it comes to things in the Old Testament and the God present in Judaism and Christianity. He is also set up as a judge of sorts in a court. Okay, it's not just there's not just this loving fatherly relationship that it's consistently compared to, but he's also set up as so as to be a judge. Okay, and the source of morality. Okay, and the sort of supposition of God in these situations is that, well, it would be better if you guys would just listen to me and you wouldn't do these things. Okay.
Okay.
But essentially the penalty for doing these things in under Old Testament law, the penalty is always death. It doesn't matter what it is. The penalty for breaking the law of God is always death. Okay, and it essentially anyone that commits an offense before God is guilty, and that is.
But what did the babies do?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go with that. Like, what standard did we use to decide that the infants were the same as what the adults were doing?
Okay, so are you familiar with the term learned behavior?
Yeah, definitely
Okay.
so.
Okay, so a lot of people confuse the term generational sin with like some sort of curse or something like that. And in the Old Testament, God says,
We lost audio, Curb. Oh, looks like you got.
sorry,
He muted.
alarm went off there.
Yeah, no worries.
He says, I am a jealous God and I will punish to the third and fourth generation. It's not a curse. It's not an unjust punishment. It's talking about the damage that learned behavior does over generations. A grandfather does something, so the next generation follows.
I get what you're saying there. I understand that, but that's not what we're talking about, and that's not analogous. We're saying that, okay, you're in a wartime situation, you're told to go, eliminate the Amalekites, and then drive swords through the babies? What? Why would there be any learned behavior? It's a baby. Why can't we keep the babies alive and we'll take them in? We can make them our slaves if you want to be a little bit more humane, okay? But a little bit more humane. Why are we unaliving them? Those babies haven't learned anything. They haven't
learned anything. Yeah, that doesn't apply to babies.
Sure, but you have, again, you have these cultural norms that surround them, and another
Your culture would surround them because you're going to bring them up in your culture as
Yeah.
an Israelite.
and I get and I get what you're saying, okay? But what I'm saying is that I personally don't understand that on an intellectual or emotional level. And what I'm saying is that in both Judaism and Christianity, the answer is that you have to just accept that there is a purpose behind this, and
Not in Judaism. Don't say that for Judaism, because first of all, Jewish people are not a monolith, so it's going to be different depending on who you talk to. But the name Israel means wrestle with God, and most Jewish people I know and the rabbis that I am friends with will tell me, oh, absolutely not. They believed 100% in telling Yahweh off and questioning him. They
Yeah.
did not accept his horrific things he did. They would say something to him. They
Yeah.
would not go, yeah, I'll kill the babies.
And kind of another way to kind of think of this is we do have Curb, we do have like psychological studies, and we have evidence that that babies don't take on this type of behavior, this early, like this inherited learned behavior. I think what you're really more talking about is like like intergenerational determinism. Like if the babies are born in this culture or society, they're just gonna like somehow take on these actions or these morals of this society if they're not integrated into if they're integrated into another society. We don't have any evidence of that. I mean, actually the evidence we have is quite the opposite. So wouldn't you think God would know that?
so again, okay, and yeah, you are. So just a quick, because Crystal had said something. You are correct. There are plenty of instances. Okay, there are plenty of instances throughout the Old Testament of people objecting. Okay, there are plenty of instances of people objecting to things that God told them to do. And again, these are all Jewish books. Okay, these are all Jewish books. Christianity was originally a Jewish religion. It was started by Jews. But take for instance the book of Job. A huge, or I'm sorry, not Job. Well, maybe Jonah. Sorry. Huge portion of that book is him being punished by God for not obeying God.
Okay.
Doing what he told him to do. So yes, certainly there are in plenty of instances of the Jews objecting to things that they were told to do by God.
Okay, let me cut in real quick. I'm sorry. You got like a minute left before the vote, so I kind of want to get this question in. I'm just kind of cutting to the chase here. So if that's the case, if you're agreeing with me that we do have these psychological studies that that overwhelmingly show babies don't take on these traits, characteristics of their other cultures if they're if they're brought into a different culture. Okay, we do have those. You agreed with that. You did earlier say it's not an intergenerational curse. You did say something like that. That seems to go against what you're using to justify because we're talking just to babies. And then the third thing is you're saying, well, there were instances where God's commands weren't followed and it came back to haunt the Israelites. Like you cited the example of Saul. Right? He didn't carry out the genocide. It came back to haunt the Israelites. Well, see, here's the thing. We're not talking about, because if I remember, that command that Saul didn't follow was to genocide the entire race of people. We're not talking about that. We're talking about why the infants were included in that. And I don't seem to hear like a really good explanation for that. So can you kind of clarify that before we go to the
And
vote?
yeah, and that's part of what I'm that's part of what I'm trying to
Okay.
explain.
Okay.
So I don't have a rationale for that. I don't have an explanation for that. That is one of the things that I personally wrestle with, that I have a hard time digesting.
Okay.
Okay, that is something that puzzles me, and that I simply haven't figured that one out, and I don't know if I ever will.
All right. Well, then I guess then we get to the crux of the question. If we're talking about this God who is supposedly omniscient, should know that babies don't take on these characteristics because they're just too young to be influenced in this way. They don't take on any of these characteristics. There's not an intergenerational curse, and we're only talking about the babies. Then how could we sit there and say this was okay for God to do this?
Well, let me put it to you this way, okay? Have you ever gotten pulled over by a police officer?
Yeah.
Okay. And were you courteous to him?
Yes. Most of the time, yes.
Okay. And is it usually a good idea to question, and this is really about the only I guess intellectually I would probably even call this sort of half-assed myself, but this is really about the only explanation that I can give you. Okay, so generally speaking, when an authority figure interrupts you in some way, shape, or form, and it's generally a good idea to be cordial. It's not probably in your best interest to question their authority.
Ah, okay. And okay, so in other words, might makes right.
Well,
That's what I'm hearing.
in the absence of the rule of law, that is the way the world works. Might makes right. And if you're, pick an authority figure, whether it's a police officer, a judge that you're before, whatever have you. And again, we have this consistent comparison of God to being a judge. Throughout the Old Testament.
Okay. I got it.
And I would question a judge too, by the way, just so you know. Like, I think the fact that people say if somebody is an authority over you, you shouldn't question them, makes you a lemming. Like, it makes that person literally a lemming. I will not question anybody because they are in authority over me. And that can cause to abuse to yourself. You are not respecting your own self when you say, I will not question somebody who is an authority over me.
I'm not talking about not questioning someone who
That's what you just talked about. You said you wouldn't question him because he was a cop or a judge, or that is literally what you just said.
Yeah, that's what we heard.
No, that's not.
Then what wouldn't you do to a cop? What is it that you wouldn't do to a cop or God?
Okay. So
By the way, we're delaying
You
the vote
got
a bit
pulled
because we
over.
got to an important point here. So
If you got
this is pretty
pulled
interesting.
over
Yeah.
and your tail light was not out, but Darius walks up to you and says, "See, you got a tail light out," and he, is accusing you of something that is not true. You're going to tell me you're not going to question that because he's a police officer?
no, okay. But I'm also not going to fling the door of my car open and jump out of my car to go back.
Is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah, we're
Are
not
we
talking about that.
questioning God, or are we slamming our door open and getting in a fight with God? I think that we're just asking the questions that people ask. And I think it's okay to do that.
Yes.
Why, God, would you kill babies? Why did you unalive David's child instead of David? Why, God, did you allow men to sell their daughters for smecks? Why, God? Why? These are hard questions, and we want to know why. And that's not being
Yeah.
belligerent. That's not throwing our door open and getting in a fight with a police officer.
Yeah, I guess the question then back to you, Curb, is why can't we ask these questions?
So it's not that you can't.
Or
Okay.
why shouldn't we then?
I'm not even saying that you shouldn't, because I've asked all of these questions myself. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What I'm saying is sort of the principle at play here is that it's probably not a good idea to pick a fight with a judge before he has to make a ruling on a case that you have interest in.
Okay. Well, I guess
Okay.
we need to understand then what about this is picking a fight with a judge? How is this picking a fight?
So questioning is, if nothing else, necessary. So a lot of Christians will tell you you should never get outside of the church. You should never question anything. You should never, never any of these things. Okay. And I think that it's really quite the opposite. I think that if you never question it, if you never dig, if you never go out and do things and mess up in the process, you can't possibly even know if you really believe it. Okay. People that just stay in church their whole lives and kind of just hold on to that sort of thing without ever really having it challenged or having any sort of difficulty with any of it. I really personally question if they actually really believe it, or if it's just, in a lot of cases, a convenient part of their life.
Okay. I got one more question and we'll go to the vote. So
Okay.
how could you distinguish then if you're saying, because you did say earlier this is where faith comes in, okay? You have to take a leap of faith. How could you personally distinguish whether or not God's intentions of unaliving babies is good or evil?
Well,
like what tests could you run to determine whether or not this was a good or evil intention?
Well, I'll be real honest with you, okay? I don't think that there's really any way of doing any sort of testing when you're talking about something of a metaphysical nature. Now we're getting off on a whole other set of we're getting off on a whole other set of things talking about metaphysics, but
Okay.
I can, when it comes to physical science, you can set up an experiment, okay, to test physical things. One
You
of
could
the
do it
major,
with behaviors too. I mean, psychology does that all the time.
sure, but
So it's just observation. Yeah.
behaviors aren't necessarily always predictive of motivations.
Not
People
always,
can,
but it
people
can
can
be.
people can be very, very dysfunctional.
Yeah, true. But here's an
So,
example. Like you could see motive behind a behavior. Like for example, if let's just say somebody unalived their wife, right? And then they're trying to and they're investigating this unalivement,
mhm,
and they don't know yet that this husband unalived his wife.
mhm,
Yet what they discover is that mysteriously this husband takes out a $5 million insurance policy 3 months before his wife dies.
right,
Like
and that's
for
called
no,
motive.
that's called motive, exactly. So we can tell why this person unalived his wife, because you would also agree that this person most likely will not say why he unalived his wife, even if assuming he would even admit to it. He would probably just say, you know what, I'm really sorry, it was this, it was that, but he wouldn't say, well, yes, because I was trying to cash in on the insurance policy, that's why I did it, if he
Right,
pleads guilty, right? And so they need to find the motive. And so I think in a lot of ways we can discern what the motive is behind a behavior. There are ways for us to do that, but I would agree with you, you can't do that every time, and it's not 100%. I would say that. Yet, okay, so just one other follow-up question then. So if you can't really, because it sounds like you can't really set up a test to determine whether or not unaliving a baby is good or evil. So then by that
no, for I'm saying when you're talking about a metaphysical entity
about
that
God, yeah.
is that is beyond human comprehension.
Yeah, I meant to insert God. I'm sorry. I meant to say if God says to unalive a baby, you can't really. There's no real test to set up to determine whether or not it's a good or evil act.
Yeah, there's no way of there's no way of testing out whether or not that is what the motivation
Okay,
behind
got it.
behind that is, because you're dealing with something that is outside of measurable parameters,
Yeah.
as just completely as a whole. Like there's just we've debated metaphysics for centuries,
Yeah.
and it's not really a thing anymore. It kind of collapsed. Really, philosophy is more a pastime than anything at this point, because it doesn't really hold any water. Whereas you take something like science, which collects, hard data, and you can actually draw conclusions from that.
Okay, I got
So,
it.
no, I don't think that you can. I don't think you have a way to measure that in any meaningful capacity.
Okay, so I lied. I have one, because you keep saying some really interesting shit. So I got another question as a follow up, but I think this one will be the last one before we go to the vote. So just to kind of preface this, I apologize, Deconstruction Zone. I'm shamelessly stealing this, but Crystal, you said I didn't have to do that, but oh shit, too late. All right.
No. He didn't hear this from Justin. This is a brand new thought he
It's a
just came up with.
a brand new thought. It's just all coincidence. All right. So Curb, if let's just say God speaks to you and 100% without a doubt it's God, and God commands you to go to all the orphanages in the area, collect all the babies, burn down the orphanages, and then make baby paste out of these babies and line your driveway with it, would you do it?
No, I would protest.
You would protest. Okay. Even though you can't discern whether or not unaliving babies, a command from God on unaliving babies is good or evil. So
Yeah.
why would you protest that then?
Well, let me put it to you. Let me put it to you this way. Okay. You are I believe you're going to be accountable for what you did. Okay. And maybe let's just say, for argument's sake, you do know for certain, okay, that you do know for certain that it's God telling you to do that. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a, what's the word I want? Doesn't necessarily mean that it relieves you of responsibility for said thing.
But God told you.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that I don't know that you still have a choice. You still have to make a choice. And some things we can see a silver lining on. Okay. So, Hitler has been a popular thing to bring up. Okay. Obviously a very twisted individual who did a lot of damage. And the Jews actually, at the end of all of that, held a sort of like a court proceeding as to whether or not God had broken their covenant or not, and ultimately concluded that he had not. But there was a silver lining to come out of all of that, and that was medical science. There was a lot of medical science that came out of that, and when we sat down and we looked at that pile of absolutely unethical, horrible, repugnant research that was done, we had to make a decision. We said we can either burn all of this or we can.
What is he saying right now? What is
That's
he
all right.
saying?
Go ahead and finish. We'll do the vote after you're done. Go ahead.
We can either burn this or we can use it. But if we burn it, we can't replace it because we're not doing this shit. We're not experimenting on people. And they ultimately concluded that it was irreplaceable, and they used it. And a lot of medical science today is based on that research. And kind of what the Bible says about the whole thing is that awful bad stuff is gonna happen, but that in the end God will make something good out of it, no matter how evil it was, no matter how bad the people who did said thing.
I really hate when people say this. I really hate when people say this.
We're gonna stop right there.
No,
yeah.
no, Kurt,
We'll stop right there. We're gonna stop right there. Okay, I'm gonna set the vote. So happy face to keep Curb another 20, or crying face to move on to the next guest. Okay, so I got your point. I think you made your point. So I hear what you said.
There's like I said, there's some real dark, uncomfortable stuff.
That's an understatement. Definitely understatement. And I certainly struggle with I
struggle with a lot of those things.
I don't blame you, and I got to tell you that that's I just can't get on board with any of that. I got to be honest with you. It's just even
I I
this.
can't
Yeah.
I can't either.
Even if you were to demonstrate that this God is real, and if that's what the like the logic is behind, like the whole baby face question, and putting swords into infants, I could not worship this God. I just couldn't do it. Just send me to hell. I mean, I'm gonna be straight up with you. Just send me to hell.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. I understand exactly what you're saying. I struggle with the exact same thing, and I guess one
No,
final.
but you don't struggle with the same thing, because you just said like some very
sorry.
heinous things. Like I just want you to understand something.
sorry.
By telling somebody who
I
that's
accidentally,
okay.
yeah, that was an accident. That honestly was an accident, Curb. Because I just had it ready because people did vote you out, so I just had it ready. But that honestly was an accident. But it was probably a good
That was
thing
good timing.
ultimately, because I had to, because I don't really, and I think this is kind of where I could say, I could probably, be a little bit more upset with people. It's just that, this was. I don't think you can walk that line between saying, in the end, this is a silver lining, because it sounds a lot like sympathizing,
'Cause
a Yahtzee
was that what
sympathizer.
he was saying? Was he saying that even though that horrific thing happened, that good came out of it
Yeah.
scientifically,
Yeah.
and that God will make something? Is that literally what I just heard him
Yeah,
saying?
that was the end of it. And so I hear what you're saying, Curb. It's just that I don't think that it's a good idea to say, hey, there was a silver lining out of this, if the Holocaust, because we got all these scientific advancements and things. Yeah, that's just a line you don't want to go to. This is just a line you don't want to go to, because then it's so easy to say, you know what, there was a silver lining with going to all the orphanages and burning them all down and then making baby paste. I mean, it's not that far of a leap. It just isn't.
Well, literally what you are saying is that God can make a silver lining out of anything. So then
Yeah.
why don't we just do anything we want to?
We can just do
He's
anything
going to
we
make a
want.
silver lining
Yeah.
out of it anyway.
And then
Like, that's so dumb.
yeah. And then there was a great question that was earlier in the chat that Intrepid Chimp said. He said, then why then we should just suffer then? Why even stop suffering? Why even try to stop suffering?
Yeah.
Because if it's just all going to end up in a silver lining, then there's no point to praying or anything like that. Just accept your suffering. But see, the thing is, the other important part, a distinction of this, is that you can't distinguish whether or not this God is good or evil. That's the thing I got out of it
Right.
too. You cannot distinguish it. And so
You can't.
but we're worshiping this God anyway. We can't really know or tell that this God is good or evil, but we're worshiping this God anyway, because why question authority? That's what I heard.
Right.
You know? And
That's what I heard. But I was like, what you're
That's-
saying is that I should be a lemming, and I don't want to be a lemming.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to hell.
Yeah, and that's frightening. Honestly, it's frightening. So let me go check out the chats over in the DC YouTube. Let's see. Lots of activity over there. And see, the thing is I always seem to like look right in the middle of a conversation. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but a lot of times I have no
Yeah.
idea what the fuck they're talking about. So I have to like
I know
scroll
they
way
do
up.
talk a lot on
Yeah.
YouTube. I don't think you have to read out everything. Hey, as a matter of fact, if you guys want him to read out something, maybe just put it all in caps or something for him, because
Or just say,
it
"Hey,
is
at Trust."
hard. Over on
Yeah.
YouTube, there's 27 different conversations going on in the chat
Yeah,
over
it's
there.
true.
It's a wild
There's- yeah.
west, area.
Yeah, but there's 109 people talking, so that's why.
Oh, he means the Deconstruction
Junction.
Junction YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's so he's live on 2 YouTube channels right
my
now.
bad. DJ.
One is Hey, I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Trust but verify. So make sure you guys subscribe to Trust but Verify. And also he is live on the Deconstruction Junction YouTube channel as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, you can follow that too.
Yeah, and a good reason to follow me on my YouTube channel is you get it in widescreen. So that's a good reason to follow me over there. I mean, nothing wrong
Besides,
with
we
vertical.
want to get trust. We want to get him monetized. Are you monetized already? over
No, I'm not. I have to get the 500
there? Okay, we need to
500
get him
subscribers.
monetized
Yeah.
over there. So let's get the subscribers and the watch hours up. If you guys
Yeah.
get a chance, go play one of his videos. Even if you're not listening to it, play it. Go to bed, turn your iPad on, play one of his videos, go to sleep, and give him some watch
I have-
hours while you're sleeping.
I have
okay?
playlists. Yeah, I have playlists. So you can just start the playlist
Yes.
and I all have, and it's almost all 1 minute like shorts. So it'll just play through all of them and boom, you just right through them. So yeah, that'd be great if you can get me monetized there. Cause then because I got some like charities and organizations that I want to fundraise for. And that would super help because the super chats could go a long way towards that and all that stuff. And I've got like better ways to like promote like different like Patreon and all that stuff. Like it's kind of limited here. It's a little bit scary to do it here on TikTok, but that's the reason why I'm doing it. But so I just want to do a quick reminder. If you are in the guest queue, there's 10 of you waiting. Please be at least 18 or
Are
over.
you a musician?
Me?
Are you a musician? Yeah.
Me? I mean, I play guitar, but not very well.
Because somebody asked if you have any new songs out.
Oh, no?
I know they're not talking about me,
not-
unless they're talking about the songs I stole from the person who will not be named.
Oh,
In
maybe
that
that's
case,
what it
all
is.
of those are my songs.
Maybe that's what it is. That's what it is. See, they might be asking you. Yeah.
Okay, Jay Jagger, maybe it was me.
maybe it was. See, there it is. So yes. So the 10 guest requests, some people that are requesting, please be at least 18. Please do not drive. If you're driving, stop and pull over because I cannot have you on the live. I can't have you up on the live if you're driving. And then also, please be sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah. And also have evidence besides personal experience of whether or not of that God is not evil, if you believe that. So to join the conversation, just tap the little blue and pink person icon at the bottom of your phone screen, and you'll get put into the guest queue. And I take people in order of they appear. All right. So we're not talking about God's existence. I've already like conceded that. It says if God exists. So we're just saying if, but we're talking about if whether or not God is evil. So we're not going to be talking about God existing. I'm going to get way off of that. All right. So let's go to the next guest. Let's see, who do we have, Crystal? This has been awesome, Crystal. Thanks for coming up here and hanging out with
Oh,
me.
it's been fun hanging out with you today.
I've been hanging out with you like all day today. This is cool.
No,
Yeah.
it's really been fun.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. So I'm just so grateful
I do
that
have
you're
to
here.
drop down in about 20 minutes though, because I got cooked dinner.
Oh, of course.
West
That's
Coast,
okay.
So it's almost dinner time.
Yeah. Actually, that's probably about the time for me too. So I think we got like room for one more. And so, but the upside is if you're in the queue if you're in the queue and I don't get to you, you get a fast pass for the next time I'm on. So that means that you just get sent right to the front of the line. So that's for waiting, I think that's pretty fair. That's kind of a nice thing to do. So
Like her.
yeah. All right. Be like Bonobos is the next guest. All right. Bonobos. I like bonobos. Bonobos are cool. How you doing?
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, hello there.
Hi there. How's it going?
I think Lovely was next if she's still here. I know you
Oh,
called her out.
Lovely. That's right. But I don't see Lovely on the list. So I think Lovely left. Yeah. You are right, but I don't see Lovely on the list. But I think, and I don't see Lovely on the chat list either. So it's you. Yeah, it's you.
I didn't want to jump in front.
Okay, that's fair. That's nice of you. All right.
Okay,
First thing, are you at least 18?
I am.
Excellent. Okay. And then are you a believer in God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran?
I am a believer of the God in the Bible that's only referenced in one chapter, and no other chapter. And I call it a glitch. It's a little convoluted, but yeah.
Okay. Which chapter is that, I guess?
That is Jeremiah 44.
Okay. Okay.
And basically, it's in that same era. God of Lord of the armies is coming in hot and saying that he just wiped everybody out in Jerusalem. So all his chosen people
Mm-hmm.
in Jerusalem, and now he sent Jeremiah to the north of Egypt, the Judeans, to also tell them he's going to kill every man, every woman, and every child. And their crime was making cakes and anointing candles in the image of divine mother or
Right.
feminine.
Right.
And what's interesting about the chapter is that in verses 17 and 18, they go on to say, our kings, our ancestors, our rabbis have always done this. Why should we stop? And also that when we worship, I don't know if they were worshiping, but whatever, honoring the divine feminine, we had peace and plenty. And
Yeah.
when we listened to you, we had violence, war, suffering. So to me, the God of the Bible that's in the Bible,
Is
you know,
that God?
is the queen of,
Okay.
is the queen of heaven. She's the only one that counts in my book and I just love that chapter because when I bring that up to Christians and Jewish people, they don't know they don't know how to respond because it's just so black and white.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how you can. I mean, to me, it shows that the God is evil, and also why we have had
we have
so
a
much-
friendly. Okay.
Sorry.
No.
I am
It's
friendly.
you are friendly. Okay.
And what frustrates me more than anything, to be honest, and I'll let somebody else come up here who wants to argue with you, but yeah, I think Jeremiah 44 proves that the God of the Bible is evil, and that if we could return to a more matriarchal society, the way they had back then, we
Yes.
have
Preach.
have a better.
Hell yes.
Thank you, Crystal.
Say less. Yeah. I got no problem with that. No problem at all. You know what's interesting? I know we're gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent, but I'll allow it for a couple minutes. Is Mrs. Verify, my wife, explained to me the phrase what was it's all men until it's no men, it's all men. That's what it was. Yes.
Until it's no men, it's all men.
Yeah, until it's no men, it's all men. And because I had to really understand what that meant, and so she explained it to me the other night, and she was like, it's just simply that, you know, there's just really no men that women can feel safe around. And that really hit me deep. Like wow, that's, and then I thought about it like that's because we were watching a TV show in which it was a bar owner and he had previous, like there was an essay that had happened in his bar, a GH, you know, like the GHB essay, if you know what I mean. And so it was reported to him, and then the woman who went to approached him about it found out that it happened before, something happened before, a previous incident happened before, and nothing was done about it. And it was like he kind of swept it under the rug, and I was like, oh shit, you know. And then that's when, and that phrase was uttered, and then I like stopped and I'm like, can you like explain that a little more? Like I'm a little dense here. And then she said it. It's just because even though he was trying to do the right thing, he had a chance to do the right thing before, but because, you know, it's until it's no men, it's all men, you're not safe. And I'm like, fuck, that was like, it just like the realization dawned on me. I was like, wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Because a lot of men,
And
I think there's a bear in the wood. They say if you'd rather.
Yeah, the bear in the woods
follow
thing.
the
Yeah, the bear.
Women choose the bear,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, a lot of men, they that just blows their mind, but it shouldn't.
Yeah.
And they say that we're lying, and yet there's this whole story on Reddit about a woman, maybe about 10 years ago, that was attacked by a bear, nearly unalived, literally opened her cranium and everything type of thing. Okay.
Mhm.
She had to take herself like to the hospital. It got her dogs, I think, and everything. And she tells this story and says, I am never afraid of the animals when I walk, because she lives in the wilderness. She takes these long walks on trails. She goes, it is the men that I'm afraid of. And so even after actually being attacked by a bear, she still chooses the bear.
Wow.
Wow, that's just wild. So
I
anyway,
I call it the patriarchal predatory paradigm. And I think that we've been
Yes.
stuck in it for so long. And I think men are victims too. I think a lot of men believe that they are somehow like the inherent recipients of like the benefits of patriarchy, but they're not, because they suffer too, because they're not. We're all suffering because of it, and because we're not.
Of course.
And by the way, that's why I have Be Like Bonobos as my speaker
yeah,
name.
I kind of like
They
that.
are bonobos are egalitarian, patriarchal. Yeah, they have a lot of sex, but it's always consensual. It's never violent, and that's
Aw,
yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
You know,
they're
and
really
that
cool
is one
animals.
thing
That's
we
why I
don't-
said that in the beginning. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, we don't talk enough about how patriarchy and misogyny harms men. We don't talk enough about how the burden to have to be a provider is unfair when in the society we live in now. We don't say how harmful it is to tell men to never show their emotions or
Exactly.
they're
They
not
don't
men.
not allowed to have
We
their
never-
feelings.
Yeah,
We're not we tell men so many negative things while we're being misogynist. Like it doesn't just harm women, it harms our men in a very real way.
yeah,
And
for sure.
and it saddens me to realize that there are so many men who think misogyny is great and it's not hurting them in any way, and at the same time I watch these men sometimes unalive because they don't know how they're going to provide for their families.
And how can you say it doesn't affect you as a male? Because every male has a mother, right? And that means that mother is subject to that misogyny, which means that if she's oppressed by that misogyny, by extension, the children are also oppressed by the misogyny. And then you just carry that forward into the next generation, because then
Yeah.
you're thinking, oh, well, this is how I should treat women.
Exactly.
Women are just second-class citizens, or they're others, and I need to find a woman like this. And yeah, my wife and I were talking about this the other
Turn her into it.
yeah, or turn her into it. And like this fear of this fear of like an independent woman who has choices, it just seems to be like it's such an evil bad thing. And yeah, and so just I'm 54 years old, and yeah, and I know that I have been negatively affected by this, because I'm only just seeing this now, like with my daughter growing up and all this other stuff. I'm just now seeing this, and that's sad. I just wish I had seen it
is.
much
I
earlier.
think too,
I'm sorry. It was the same for my husband too. And like, we still talk about these issues because I want him to be constantly aware of these issues. I've talked to him before about, hey, do you ever get afraid to go outside, let's say around 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and take a walk? And he said, no, I've never been afraid of that in my life. I said, well, it's not like we're scared, but just so you know, even as at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, no matter what neighborhood I'm in, I, as a woman, have to constantly be aware of my entire surroundings because I know there are predators and they're men. That's my number one predator as a woman. Your number one predator is probably other men.
Yeah.
My number one predator is men. Men are our number one predators. And that's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
I
So,
just wanted to say one thing about patriarchy versus matriarchy. So a lot of people think that patriarchy is the opposite of they're opposites. So basically, matriarchy means then women are in control, but actually it doesn't. It's matriarchies are non-hierarchical. They're not dominance based. They're collaborative based. Collaboration based. And so people don't need to fear, what they're trying to say is they want women to take over and then they have all the power. No, women want to share the power, collectively and that kind of thing. And that's why, in matriarchy, it is not the opposite of patriarchy.
yeah. Well, I, for one, bonobos, I am adding Jeremiah 44 to my list
Yes,
of
thank you.
traps. definitely. That's an awesome one.
Yes, make
Yeah,
them read.
That's a
Especially
great one.
it's a great one.
17
And
through 17 and 18 are the crux. Like
yeah,
there's no way around to argue 17 and 18
and
versus 17
and the
18.
thing is and this is another example, is like I miss all the patriarchal shit in the Bible. I see some of it, like the obvious stuff, like the slavery, you know, Exodus 21:7, but stuff like this, it flies right by. So I'm so glad you pointed this out to me. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. I
I
appreciate you
appreciate
very
that.
much. I'm glad I found you, Trust.
Yes, yes,
And you
glad
too,
you found me
Crystal.
too.
I'm gonna follow you.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you. It was so nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you. Hope to see you again. Please come back.
Ditto. Thank
All
you.
right, take care. So, yeah, that was a great point. I'm gonna pull up one more, but if you got a dip, Crystal, you know, just
Yeah, I've
just
got a
do
little
so.
bit more time,
Yeah,
and then
I'm gonna pull up one more. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna pull up one more, and according to our list, that's going to be Denny 1. Okay, so I got everybody else who's up here. So again, the 5 who are requesting, you get the fast pass. So it looks like Denny 1 dipped. All right, Denny 1 is not here. Okay, so the next one is it looks like Xander Lopez. All right, Xander Lopez, how's it going? How you doing, Xander? Yeah, how's it going?
I wasn't expecting to actually get to talk. I thought you were gonna get someone else before me, but it looks like
Yeah,
you know,
the person in front of you dipped. So
I see. Okay.
next one up. All right. Hey, are you at least 18?
I am 19. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
excellent. Okay. Do you believe in the God of the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah?
the Bible. So
Okay.
I am a Christian.
Okay.
Raised Catholic, but I'm non-denominational currently.
Gotcha. All right. I remember being there.
But it's nice to meet you and Crystal too.
Likewise.
Just
Nice to meet you.
out the gate.
Yeah.
So I heard a couple of things, but I just because it was the last conversation. I know Jeremiah, 44. To my understanding, that chapter and verse is, God is talking in this way, but he's not applying punishment himself. What he's saying, or at least to my understanding, which may be flawed, is that he's saying that their worship of idolatry will self-inflict this upon themselves, right? So the let me see if I can see the exact text.
Can I just make sure you understood what her point was, so that, because her point wasn't about the punishment. Her point was that they were saying that they preferred worshiping the matriarchy.
Oh yeah. I know. I totally got her point.
Because okay, that was her point. It's not about the punishment. That was not the point.
Oh yeah, no. So I got her point. I totally respect that.
Okay.
I was just talking about specifically the punishment part because it's about God being evil. In this chapter, it might be interpreted that way.
I don't think
but-
this was his example, though, for God being evil. This was one that she was pointing out for a different.
yeah.
That's one she
example.
pointed out.
course,
Yeah,
okay.
for a whole different reason. But we'll
Of
get back.
course, okay.
We'll jump back to you. So aside from personal experience, what's your best evidence that God is not evil?
Okay, so if you mind, outside of Old Testament, scripture, if I just start, a step back, overall in general.
Mhm.
So I mean, some of the most common things I hear, and I'm sure you would agree with this, is just so I can get an understanding of what you believe before I proceed. Human against human evils, inhuman evils, natural disasters, things like that, the circumstances of the world, that God isn't intervening, where he's allowing evil to take place. So for those things, it's taught by a majority of Christians that evil among humans is as consequence of free will, right? So by allowing humans and man to have free will, he has to limit his influence over them, right?
Okay. Let me ask you a quick question. How do you define free will?
How do you define free will? So I can go off that definition.
Well-
I mean, I would say
I don't.
my
I'm not sure
personal
we have it.
definition would be
Yeah, go
free
ahead.
will would be and I mean maybe there I could actually just search up the literal definition. Let's see if I can get, you know, let's see what the power of acting without the constraint of necessity or fate, the ability to act at one's own discretion.
Okay. So is it free will then? Just so we can kind of test this. So is it free
Of course.
will if it's my will to sprout wings and fly? That's not free will, right?
No,
So
no.
clearly
So
I can't
so
do that.
free will in the sense that you can make your own decisions. So in a perfect world,
Well, it says-
everyone is good.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait,
Well, it does
wait,
say the
wait,
power of
I do
acting
wanna-
without the constraint of necessity or fate. So acting without the
Yeah,
constraint
Right.
of necessity or fate.
So
right?
so what I'm saying is
Wait,
you're
so Xander, wait a second. Wait.
Okay,
So
yeah.
because fate is there, immediately it's telling you you don't have free will biblically because there is fate.
Fate?
If you do not believe in this God, your fate is you're going to hell. So
So
I don't
I would
have
I would
free
just have to
will
disagree
to
with
make
that.
that choice.
I would just have to disagree with
What
that
part?
on the premise that um so God I'm sure you understand you know I've heard the argument myself, you know, if God's all knowing, he knows you're going to go to hell or you're not going to go to hell. Why does
That's
he
not my point right now. My point is there is fate attached to my choice that I have. I either choose him and go to heaven, which is fate, or I don't choose him and I go to hell, which is fate. So my choice has a constraint of fate, and because it's constrained to that fate, it is not free will. It
Yeah.
is merely a choice.
So I'm not quite sure I entirely understand, because in this scenario, this is a scenario where God exists. This is a hypothetical scenario where God exists.
Right.
You have the decision to choose whether you want to live in existence with God or in separation, right?
Well, yeah, but understand her point. What she's saying is that
if
because
you could
the
elaborate. please.
yeah, the definition that you gave is is without constraint of necessity of fate.
And
Acting
I get
without
what
the
you
constraint
mean,
of necessity
like,
of fate, the ability to act
so
at one's own
the constraint
discretion.
of, you know, the fate that, or the fact that I can't just, like you said, sprout wings, right?
Right.
So when I say free will, I mean it in the sense within the laws of the world, right? I can make my own choice whether I want to
Okay.
say one word to you or another, right?
Okay. Well, so then
I'm not
go ahead,
determined by
finish.
God or fated by God to have this exact conversation with you, right?
Okay.
I'm getting to choose my own words to discuss with you, right?
All right.
I have the free will of the mind to choose to make decisions, to choose to be with him or in separation from him, not of reality.
All right. So then by
So
that
the reality is
by that token
is-
then, sorry to
Go
jump
ahead.
in. By that
Yeah, go
by that token, I understand what you mean, but by that token then, like to Crystal's example, that means then if we had free will, we could choose not to go to hell. And
well,
nor
in this
heaven. We
case-
could
in this
choose to
case, that
neither
would
go
be-
to hell
that would-
nor heaven, right?
In this case, that would be reality. So this is the reality is there's a hell and there's a heaven, right?
Mhm.
So this is reality. You can't just reality alter it with free will. You just have the decision to act within this world,
Right. But
And
that's
that
but that's her
reality
point.
is called fate.
That's what it's
Xander.
fate.
That's
Yeah.
called fate.
That's
Fate means
Okay, well, in that
that it-
case, fate is not.
And you
free
do
will
know that
is
your
not
Bible
what a
doesn't
definition of
actually
fate.
talk about free will, though, right, Xander? It's okay to not believe in free will and still believe in this God.
yeah.
No,
The
I
Bible
believe
says
in
over
free
and over-
will.
Okay.
I
I
see, so
understand that. I'm trying
I'm-
Can I finish talking
go
for a
ahead.
second?
I'm
You're
sorry.
interrupting me. It is okay to be a believer and not believe in free will because the Bible actually tells you that things are predestined, that everything works towards the glory of God for those who are called according to his purpose, that his will be done. He says it over and over again. It will be his will. You are
I have to
predestined
disagree.
because God had foreknowledge. You were predestined. Romans says it. Ephesians says it. You
So-
can disagree, but
Yeah,
you're
so if you-
disagreeing
if you'd allow me
with the
to-
word of God. You're disagreeing with the word of God.
No, so this is a
Yes,
matter
you
of
are.
interpretation.
No,
If
it's
you
not.
if you
He
would allow
says
me
you
to
were
respond.
predestined. Okay, I will
If
allow you to respond. But let's talk about how he says you are predestined and you're going against what
could
he
you provide me
says.
the exact scripture for that?
Yeah, we can. I can pull some of that up. But you got to give us
But
time. But go ahead and say what
yeah,
you were going to say, and
of course. While you
that'll
look
give
for the
me.
scripture,
Yeah, that'll give
if
me
I could
time to
respond,
because
yeah.
there's actually a bunch of them. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So in this case, God is all knowing. So he knows what you're going to do, right? But he's outside of time. So he's outside of time. So he can see what's going to happen in the future, but he's not predestined you to do it. That is your choice. He knows, he just simply understands what actions you're going to
That's
take.
not what he says, though. That's not what he says in his word. He says that he has predestined you. He
If you could,
says that
if you
he
could provide me the
makes some
scripture,
of
I'd be
us
happy to see it.
for destruction. He has made those choices.
If you could provide me the scripture, I'd be happy
Hang
to
on.
see it.
Hang on. Are you pulling them up,
Yeah.
Trust, or do you want me to?
We can both do it.
I can. Just give me 1 second. I
Yeah.
gotta feed the dog.
Oh yeah. No, okay, go ahead and do that. I got something here. So
In the meantime, we could, talk about something else while you pull up this.
well,
the scripture.
actually, we can kind of approach it this way. So, like for example, it does say like in Psalm 139. You familiar with what it says there? It talks about.
Let me just pull it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it talks about 139. I think it's 13, verse 13. It talks about God, God stitching us in the womb, knitting us in the womb.
Okay.
Right.
Of course.
Now would that, so there's that God forming us in the womb. And then there are some other ones in the New Testament. God, where is my it's on my spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, take your time. But in this case, this
Hang on,
particular
I'm looking
verse,
them up right now.
this particular verse, I wouldn't imagine is saying you're predestined or pre-fated. It's just about your exact makeup. How you were, how God knows every hair on your head, right?
There it is.
He.
Keep going.
Did you find what you were looking?
I have a verse. If you could pull it up, though, Trust.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Okay, Revelation 13:8.
Revelation 13:8. Okay. Let's see what we got here.
After you read, I'll explain.
Revelation 13, verse 8. Okay, I got it. Let me.
Whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain
I
from
gotta
the
remember to
foundations
do
of the
this
world.
for you folks.
Okay, so this verse is Jesus. He is the Lamb, right? Who was
Of course,
slain.
yes.
He was slain before the foundation of the world. Now, if we all had choice, why was there already a sacrifice before the Garden of Eden was ever created?
From mine, it says who was slain from the creation of the world. Okay.
Right. That means before the world was created, he was already slain.
Okay. So, what is your point in this?
One, your name is either written in that book of life or it's not. There's nothing you or I can do. It's either written because it's
Of course.
predestined.
So, but in this case,
Jesus, you asked me to make my point. Please stop. Two, Jesus was sacrificed before the foundations of the earth. If we were not predestined, we would have never needed a savior before we ever even ate the fruit in the Garden of Eden. But God knew everything. Why did he know everything? Because he created everything. And he said all along throughout your whole Bible that everything works for my will.
So, in this case, I mean, basically the entirety of the New Testament is based around Jesus and his death and sacrifice and resurrection. So, I would think it's a bit of a reach to say that this particular quote is contradicting that. I think it's a play on words when it's saying slain from the creation of the world. It's more of a metaphorical wording.
No, it's not.
And so, in addition to that, I'm that's just reading in the literary context of the verse. This is just something we might have to disagree on in that particular sense. But besides that, and when we're talking about the book of life, in the same way, God knows who's going to go to heaven with him or hell. He knew that in the book of life, but the book saying this doesn't determine your actions. Your actions determine that you're going to be in the book of life. It's kind of like how um, you might know a team is going to win a game before they win it, right? Just because you happen to know the team was going to win doesn't mean that you
That's not what he's
fated it
saying.
so.
I'm going to give you more verses because what you're doing is saying that God knew Jesus was going to be the sacrifice for us, even though he didn't know we were going to need him. And that is just not true. So let's look at some other verses.
Oh yeah,
because
I got a
in
whole
John
list of them.
7
Yeah. Go ahead,
Okay,
go ahead,
and
Crystal.
I have
No,
more,
no, you
and
go,
I
Crystal.
pulled them up too.
Yeah, you
Okay,
go, you
so
go.
John 17:24. Father, I desire that those also whom you have given me may be with me where I am, because you loved me before the foundation of the world. Again, Jesus is telling you this all happened before we were ever created.
Yeah, so God loves him and everyone before the creation of the world.
No,
The concept
because he
of
was
you.
created to be our sacrifice before we were ever created. Ephesians
Yes.
1:11. In Christ we have also obtained an inheritance, having been predestined according to the purpose of him who accomplishes all things according to his counsel and will.
Can you
What are
read
we
the
predestined for?
quote again?
His will.
Ephesians
The
1:11.
Ephesians
Ephesians
1:11.
Ephesians 1:11. Um, s- so I feel like most of these verses we're going over are just a matter of interpretation. Um,
The
so
word literally
maybe
is
we should switch
predestined,
topics. Just
Xander. The
yeah.
word, no, you're being disingenuous, and that's not. It makes me sad, actually. I have to tell you, I got to tell you, it makes me really sad when somebody goes, the actual word she said that we are is
Having
in the
predestined
Bible
according to
telling me we are, and I'm going to tell her it's an interpretation. It literally says you were predestined.
Yeah, so the word predestined here doesn't negate the free will. It's just
How many times does predestination have to be mentioned in the Bible
so
before
so
you will
you
realize
can be
that you
destined
don't have
you can
free
be
will?
destined so similar how you might destine a team
Predestination literally is the opposite of free will. Stop.
so, so if I may you can the same the analogy I gave with a team winning, right? A team winning a game. You can you can destine that this team will win, but your prediction or your destiny or prophecy doesn't determine that these players are going to win. It's their actions, how they perform in the game, that ultimately leads them to that game
Wow,
victory,
that is
right?
some incredible back bends there. Does that hurt your
Let me
muscles when
I
you
got
bend over backwards?
Hey, I got a way we can kind of emphasize this. So
Maybe
let me ask you this, Xander. Let me ask you this.
yeah, of
So,
course.
you do you agree or disagree that God is omniscient? He knows all things,
I agree he's omniscient.
past, present, and future.
Yep.
Okay. So if God knows, and God's perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And God knows, and everything that
Yep.
God knows is perfect, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if God knows perfectly that tomorrow at 3 p.m. you're going to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich,
Mm-hmm.
can you choose not to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Well, that's kind of an unfair question because
It's not
the
unfair.
idea is, well, if you would allow me, um, he knows you're going to do that because you will take the actions to do that. So if you chose to do something else, then he would know that.
What?
This is a very
That doesn't make
philosophical. Maybe
sense. Hold on.
I
No, it
feel like
doesn't.
this is. I feel like this is just something we're going to have to disagree on. So maybe we could switch to something
No,
that's
it's
less
something that
philosophical.
you
Well, no,
have
no, no.
cognitive dissonance on.
Hold on. I need to. No, I kind of need to stay on this whole peanut butter and jelly sandwich
Okay,
thing.
sure.
So
If this is what you want to.
yeah. So I need to know, does God know, if God knows 100% perfectly that you're going to eat a sandwich, a peanut butter, a PB&J tomorrow at 3,
Mhm.
can you choose something besides a PB&J tomorrow at 3?
Well, if he knows that I'm going to do it, it's because I do it. It's kind of like going into the future. Let's say I had a time machine, right? And I go into the future and observe me eating a PB&J. Of course, without affecting any of reality, right? Let's assume that I don't alter history by doing this, right? Or sorry, let's just
That
just
doesn't
'cause it
make
gets
sense.
complicated if it's me. Let's say I go into the future and I observe you eating a PB&J.
No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you eating the PB&J tomorrow at 3. Can you do anything? And God knows this perfectly. Can you do anything else besides? It's a yes or no question. Can you do anything else besides eat the
So
PB&J
in
tomorrow
this
at 3?
scenario, I understand he knows that I will eat a PB&J.
Yeah.
It's with this additional omnipresent or omniscient context that he knows that I will do that.
Right. He knows, and he knows
Then-
everything you're going to do, right?
Then with that omniscient context, theoretically, the fate could change, but then he would know that that fate would change.
Okay. How would the fate change if he knows perfectly
if
that you're
I
going to eat it
knew-
at,
If I knew he knew I was going to, sorry, this might get a little wordy. If I knew he knew I was going to eat a sandwich at 3 p.m.,
but you don't know that.
That might alter my choices up to that event.
Okay, I got to stop you right there. Because you're kind of smuggling in things to kind of change the answer. The question is, he knows perfectly, right, that you will eat a PB&J tomorrow at 3.
Okay.
How is it possible that you could change what you're going to eat tomorrow at 3? If he knows perfectly what you know, because either he's not omniscient or you don't have free will. It's one of the two things. So if he knows perfectly what you're going to do tomorrow at 3, you have no other choice. It's that simple.
This doesn't feel like an entirely intellectually honest question.
It's a totally well, how is it intellectually dishonest?
Okay, well, because let's take God out of the picture.
No, we can't take God out of the picture
Well,
because
no,
we're
no,
talking
I'm
about
giving-
God.
Let me paint you. Let me. No, no.
You
no,
can't
no,
move the
I'm saying-
goalposts, Xander. We got it. We got to talk about what
you
we're
have to
here.
let me finish my sentence here. When I say let's take God out of the picture, let me paint you a hypothetical. Okay, so let's say you know I'm going to eat a sandwich at 3 p.m. This is a philosophical debate. This isn't a free will. It's like if an immovable object will stop an unstoppable force will move an immovable object. It's like which one happens. It's something that we can't theoretically understand because obviously fate's going to change if I understand that I'm going to do something at a period of time, right? The fact that an action is going to happen will be affected if I understand it's going to happen. I'm sorry, it's
Wait a minute. Do
it's
you
a very wordy philosophical concept.
Okay, do you know the future?
I do not know the future.
Okay, you do not know the future, but God knows the future, right?
Yeah, so if I don't know the future,
it doesn't matter
I will
what
eat
you
the
know.
Sandwich at 3 p.m.
Okay, so
if I don't know the future,
if
I do, that will affect fate.
Okay, but
you
you
would know how that would change.
Okay, you're smuggling extra stuff in there. You don't know the future. That's the whole point.
I don't know the future.
You don't know
in
the
this
future.
Hypothetical, then I would eat the sandwich at 3 p.m.
Okay, so you don't have a choice. So God knows. So God knows. So does God know? Does God know? Okay, hold on. Does God know when you are going to? I don't know when you're going. If you're going to graduate, are you in college right now?
Yep.
Okay. Does he know when you're going to graduate college?
Yes.
Okay. Can you change that? And he knows this perfectly, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't know. So can you choose not to graduate college? If he knows perfectly that you are going to graduate college, can you choose not to graduate college?
He knows what I will choose to do.
Okay, then he's not all knowing.
So it's not that I can't choose the other option.
I didn't say that.
He knows that I ultimately choose that option.
Right. He already knows your choices. Correct.
So it's
okay.
So he knows my choices, but
he knows your choices.
If you have a time machine,
which means you don't
go to see me eat a sandwich at 3 p.m. You see me eat a sandwich at 3 p.m. that doesn't mean that you have predetermined that I'm going to eat it. I still make the choice to eat it, right? You just observed it.
I didn't say
So in a
that.
similar way,
I didn't
he's
say
just
he predetermined it. I just said he knows exactly what you're going to do.
okay. So if he's not predetermining it, he just
No,
knows it by
he
observing
just knows it. Yeah.
Okay, so then we're in agreement.
Yeah, but you still don't have free will because you can't make any other choice because he already
Well,
knows what the choice is.
just to observe something is different than
You only have,
than fading it that I will have to choose this option.
yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you don't have any other choice because God already knows what you're going to do. So if God already knows what you're going to do, then you can't make any other choice. You only have the illusion of choice. He already knows all the choices that you will have made.
Yeah. So, but knowing it doesn't mean.
Again, I
that-
agree. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in agreement.
Yeah, we're agreeing, but you don't have free will.
Okay. It's just we're gonna agree, but I think I do have free will.
Okay. Well, you have the illusion of choice.
I don't know. This is a very convoluted.
Not really. It's actually really simple.
Okay.
Only I know it's hard. I will grant it like this. It's simple,
we're going
but
down
it's
this rabbit
but it's
hole,
hard.
and
It's hard to wrap
we're
your
going
head
down
around.
this rabbit hole, and I feel like we've strayed a little bit from the core idea of if God is evil in the first place.
Oh, we
right?
definitely did because we had to kind of get
Yeah,
because I had to ask you what free will is.
I know.
and-
I'm sorry. I suggested
No. You're
going
fine.
back, but
You're fine.
yeah.
You're fine. I had to kind of clear this up. Okay, so I think we have an understanding of what free will is. I think we agree to disagree that
Yeah, I agree to disagree.
you have
I'm
free will.
sure.
You think you have free will. I don't think you do. So now, okay, let's kind of go back to the core argument or
Mm.
the core thing. So what is your best evidence, not counting personal experience, that God is not evil?
Okay. So if I may ask, you are you a moral relativist or a subjective or objective? What do you believe?
In terms of what?
So in terms of morality as a whole, so do
Oh.
you believe morality is subjective or relative, or that there is an objective right and wrong?
I'm an objective moral realist, and I base my grounding in freedom and well-being. So, and I use the laws of logic to determine freedom and well-being. So things that violate freedom and well-being, I consider immoral.
Okay, I respect that. You know what? A lot of people have varying. That's a very respectable objective. I like that definition actually.
Yeah.
So with the premise, if you use me the premise of free will, then that can justify human nature as causing evil to each other. Let's assume that there's free will. That justifies the evils of human against human, right? But let's talk about inhuman evils, right?
Inhuman evils? Yeah. Can you,
Yeah,
you
so
explain?
natural disasters.
Yeah,
So
okay.
things like that.
Okay.
So well, I mean, just to start, I'm sure you might have heard this before, God, objectively by being the ultimate being is effectively the definition, quote unquote, of good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard
so-
that. And
So
Yeah.
But of course, I might not align with your definition of good, right?
Okay.
So you might see something that he does is evil. If your subjective or what you believe to be objective.
Yeah. Yeah, we can apply a simple test to it.
So but so when it comes to things like that, the way the world is set up, everything is so finely tuned, right? The matter of the world, the laws of gravity, physics, metaphysics, energy, all of that, right? The way things are set up, they need to be so precise and perfect for life in the way we know it to exist.
Okay.
Right?
How does fine tuning demonstrate that God is not evil?
So in this sense, the same, things that facilitate life, rain, clouds, tectonics, earth, are the consequences. The natural disasters are consequences of, you know, the laws of the world, right? So in a similar way to how we have systems of rain and water, we have thunder and storms, right? In a similar way to how we have earth and tectonics and the advanced makeup of our geological planet,
Okay.
it's a natural consequence of earthquakes and tsunamis and things of that nature.
Okay, gotcha. So in that sense then, Xander, could God have fine-tuned the universe in a way that earthquakes didn't happen?
It would be theoretically possible, yes.
Okay.
He could do it.
He
but
could have done
it. It wouldn't be in the form of that it is, you know, with the same laws of physics and reality that we understand it to be.
Okay. So if
So
it's not,
things would have to be different.
things would be
So it
different. Yeah.
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 It would contradict, you know, some of the how reality is. Yeah.
Sure. And God's all knowing and all powerful, which means that he could have created a world in which earthquakes and natural disasters did not exist.
Yes, but it wouldn't be the equivalent to what we have now. So it's a sort of compromise, right?
Well, he did create
And-
a world
and-
like that, right? He created heaven like that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so the difference is though that heaven is separate because okay. Let's talk about heaven and hell for a second. Do you believe when we say God, you know, when people go to hell, is it torture? What do you believe it to be? Sorry,
Well,
this might be a tangent, but
Just no, yeah, I see. Well, I'm just going by the Christian lore or the Abrahamic God lore that, you know, people who do bad things, don't worship God, commit sins, go to hell. Commit unforgiven
Okay.
sins, don't worship God, don't believe in Jesus Christ their savior, or if you're, you know, or if you're a Muslim, if you don't believe in Allah, you reject Allah, you go to hell. You know, things like that.
Okay, yeah. So that is a common definition or explanation. I would argue what, you know, it's not so much you know, God sending you to hell or punishing you for sins. It's more of if I sin and I refuse to accept Christ or I refuse to let go of my sins, I am choosing to live in separation from God. In other words, hell. Right? So hell in this case isn't, you know, an ultimate form of torture, but it's eternal torment, or eternal separation from God, right? So you can choose to live in separation. He respects your wishes, right? It's not so much that he's sending you to hell to punish you, to torture you for your sins, for your crimes of not believing in him. It's that you're choosing to not know him or to hold on to your sins and to, as such, be in hell and live in separation. You're choosing to live in separation.
Choosing to live in separation, choosing to
Yes.
reject God. Okay.
Yes. So in this world that I'm painting you, what I believe, all sinners are not, you know, sent to hell to be punished. They're choosing their own sins or their disbelief in Christ over Christ. And Christ and God is effectively respecting that wish and allowing you to live in hell.
Do you
or
think
in separation?
Okay. Do you think you can
And-
choose
and-
your do you think you can choose your beliefs?
Yep,
Okay.
I do.
Okay, we can test that too. Can you show us and demonstrate this? Can you choose to believe in Santa Claus right now just as much as you believe in God?
It would take a lot of moral, mental conditioning, but theoretically I could, yes.
Theoretically you could?
Yeah,
Okay.
theoretically I could, yes.
And you don't believe in Santa Claus now, right?
I don't,
Why don't you?
because I choose not to.
You choose not to? Okay.
I choose not to.
Is-
I don't. I
You don't
think
have any
there's
other
evidence
reason?
for it.
You don't have
I don't
any
have-
evidence. Okay.
I don't have evidence for it. I just, you know, I've been raised as a kid. I've heard stories about
Yeah.
it. I've talked to my parents about it. And so all of this evidence is what I choose to make my,
Okay.
you know, belief.
So what you're telling me is that you could believe in Santa Claus despite there not being enough evidence that Santa Claus exists.
Yes, theoretically, especially if you're going to ignore the evidence and or you do enough,
Right.
you proper mental setup, right? Yes, you could.
Okay. What reasons would
You
you
could choose to.
use? What reasons would you use to choose to believe in Santa Claus?
Let's say I was on a random isolated island and I was raised to believe Santa Claus was real and not told otherwise, I would believe Santa Claus is real.
Well, no, not. I mean, in your current capacity right now, like I don't think you've been raised on a random island, right?
Okay,
Isolated.
okay. So in my
Just-
current circumstances,
Yeah, your current circumstance. Like that's what I said. To choose to believe
Um,
right now, to believe in Santa Claus
I mean, I
as
can
much
choose
as
to
you believe
in
as God.
anything,
Yeah, choose to
but-
believe in Santa Claus right now as much as you believe in God. Just like 30 seconds.
Okay, I believe in him.
You believe in him?
In
You truly do.
hypothetical, yes.
Okay, and what are the what? No, in actual reality, I'd like you to believe in Santa Claus right now, and then and then provide us with reasons that you believe in Santa Claus.
Okay. Can you please lead me into the point you're trying to make?
The point is that you can't
'Cause
choose.
I'm-
The point is that you can't choose your beliefs, because I just asked you to choose to believe in Santa Claus, and then I asked you to give some reasons to believe in Santa Claus. Truly.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't believe in Santa Claus because I don't think there's evidence for it.
Right. So that's why I'm saying to choose to
If
believe in
it-
Santa Claus,
now-
because you said
now
you
it'd
could.
be different-
Well, you did say you could choose your beliefs. That's what I'm saying. So choose to believe in Santa Claus.
In a different way, let's choose a different example. Let me choose to believe in Buddhism. Okay.
No.
No.
No. I
Why
want
not?
because the Santa Claus. It's a very good example of why you can't choose your beliefs. It's an
Well,
excellent example.
It's because the reality, as I understand it, I wouldn't choose to believe it.
Right. But you
could
did.
choose it.
Yeah, but you did say you could choose your beliefs.
Okay.
And believe,
but
and
I
there's
just don't want to. Okay. Okay.
right. You don't want to, but I'm asking you to just demonstrate it for us. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Okay.
And then give us reasons why why you believe in Santa Claus. It's only for like 30 seconds.
Okay. Sure. Let's say I believe in Santa Claus. Okay. I believe in
Well,
Santa
not a
Claus.
let's say. I actually want you to believe in Santa Claus.
Okay. Okay.
Like, actually,
I believe.
you believe. Okay.
believe.
And what reasons do you believe?
Because every night when I woke up on a Christmas morning, presents were there.
Okay. And so you believe that and you know for a fact that the presents were there because of Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's what I was told by my
Okay.
parents.
Okay. And so that's what happened last Christmas?
Yeah, the presents were there when I woke up.
Okay. Okay. You know that's cap, right? That's not true.
Okay.
You're not being honest, man.
I'm trying to play along with you. I
It's
was
not
trying to
playing
play
along. I'm actually
but-
asking you to truly believe in Santa Claus as much as you believe in God.
That's-
Because
that's like
you said
asking
that
me
you
to
can.
believe in a unicorn.
Yeah.
So
It's choosing your beliefs. That's what I said. Choosing something that you don't believe in.
okay,
Choose to believe something you
but
don't
there's a
believe in.
difference between choosing to believe in something that has grounding or has evidence to support it, and something that is non-physical, just fiction, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't say that. Okay, you might think someone who just believes they saw a unicorn yesterday is crazy, right? But you wouldn't immediately call someone who believes in Islam or Buddhism to be crazy, right? They chose to believe in that.
Yeah. And
So there's
no,
thousands and thousands of people
but that's the
who
point.
choose to believe in other things every day.
I think that's the point. Is that that's the point I'm trying to make, Xander, is they didn't
Okay.
choose that. And you just demonstrated that you can't choose your beliefs.
I just demonstrated that I cannot choose something which I feel to that the reality says otherwise.
Belief in Santa Claus is a belief, right?
Yeah, but my belief in Christianity and
Yeah.
God isn't a blind faith. It's a belief based on evidence.
Do you believe
God,
that?
Jesus
Okay.
Jesus says
I'll give you a
not
different
to
one.
believe blindly. Jesus
Okay.
says not to believe blindly. He says to believe in him based on the truth, based on evidence.
Okay. I'll give you another one. Do you believe that men
Okay.
are attractive?
It's a subjective term.
I know it's subjective. I'm asking you, do you believe that men are attractive?
I think some men may be attractive, some men might be unattractive.
Like romantically attractive?
No.
Okay. You don't
As
believe
in-
you don't
as in
believe you don't Yeah, no, just romantically attractive. Because that's
Romantically, I don't believe
extremely
men.
subjective.
I personally do not feel men are attractive.
Okay. All right. So could you believe that I'm attractive for 30 seconds?
I can't change how I
Because
feel about you.
it's reality, right? Because it's yeah. And
Right.
what reasons do you have that men are not attractive?
Men are not attractive.
Yeah, what
Like that,
reasons
I'm
do
not
you?
interested in them romantically.
There you go. There you go.
'Cause
Okay.
because that's just how my brain's wired.
Yeah,
I think I think my girlfriend is who
absolutely.
I believe
And
to be attractive.
you say that's a belief, right? In who is attractive? Because it's pretty subjective, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
sure,
a belief, right? But see,
sure,
that's the thing. You can't just switch on that suddenly I'm attractive, right? You can't just switch it on
sure.
and then switch it back off
There's a lot of things that we believe in, which we can't, animalistic
that
things
we
which
can't
are out of our
choose.
control,
All right.
evolutionary, sure.
I've given you two
Um,
examples of what you can't choose to believe.
but this is what we're talking about here is evidence based, theoretical. This isn't something that this isn't as something as objective as what I'm literally attracted to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can choose in a similar way to, like, if I go outside and believe I'm going to fly every day, it's not going to happen, right?
Hmm.
But if I go outside and believe if I drop a ball, it's going to fall due to gravity, that would be a justified belief because it's based in reality.
Yeah, it's not whether or not it's a justified belief or an unjustified belief or anything like that. The point I'm getting to is whether or not you can just suddenly believe something. You can just choose to
Sure.
believe something.
Yeah.
And I've just given you two instances where you can't
No,
choose to.
I don't
You see
think
where
I
I'm
can
going with
just
this? Yeah.
openly. Yeah, I
And
can see what you're going with this,
and
but
to take
I
your
just don't see how this.
well,
Yeah, go ahead,
it's
please.
and to
Go ahead.
take your example of choosing to believing you can fly.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you just said you don't believe you can fly. And is there
Mhm.
any evidence that you could learn between now and say 30 seconds from now that would cause you to believe you can fly? Like anything like realistic that you can learn. Nothing imaginative or suddenly you have the ability to fly. But what I mean
I think
is,
I would assume it could be theoretically possible. Maybe if I read
yeah,
a
it's
post,
theoretically
a
possible.
fake news article that said that if scientists have discovered,
Right.
you can manipulate, something in such a way.
Yeah.
But all these are, you're talking about belief and you're talking about reality. There's, these don't necessarily cross over, right? You can choose to believe in something, but it's not based in
Well,
reality.
belief is belief. That's my whole point. Belief is belief. It's whether or not the construct is the same, because belief is just a
Okay.
state of mind. That's all it is. Belief is just a state of mind. Knowledge is a subset of belief. Knowledge is just a belief with justification. That's all it is.
Okay.
And so when you're thinking about, and that's why I'm trying to explain to you that you can't choose your beliefs. It's we have like confirmation biases that are in effect, and we we've scientifically demonstrated this, that you can't choose your beliefs. We have studies
So
out
you
on
don't
this.
you as an atheist don't believe you have free will.
Not in the way that you say it. Now, if you define
how about in the way you say it?
the definition you gave, no. I think it's really out. It's out in terms of what free will is. Because if you define it as choice, I don't see a distinction really between like a set of, having a set of choices versus free will. I'm actually agnostic on it because there is, there's two schools of thought. There's determinism. Like if you're in the Sapolsky camp, and then the other term I can't remember, and somebody in chat can probably remind me what that other term is. Not determinism, but the other one, maybe compatibilism. No, not compatibilism, but maybe just free will. But there are other people who do believe that we do have some sort of free will, that we do have some sort of choice. But see, it's like the research on it, it goes both ways, and there isn't really a consensus on it. So I'm actually agnostic, to be honest with you.
Sure. You know
Yeah.
what? I'll and based on what you've said, I think I agree with you to at least a decent extent. I don't
Yeah.
know if the final conclusive, but in the way that you say you're agnostic, I think I agree with what you understand free will to be.
Just my understanding of free will.
And I personally, I don't think that uh what do we say disagrees with the existence of God.
Okay. And remember, we're not talking about the existence of God. We're talking about whether or not God
For
is
the
evil.
Christian.
Yeah. Whether or not God's
Yeah.
evil. So,
So,
okay.
but I think that understanding of free will fits into my explanation earlier, what I was giving you about free will and reality.
I think I was just trying to nail down like what the definition of
Okay.
free will is, only because it,
Uh,
yeah. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you too. I know I
no, go ahead.
remember you saying that you had to go anywhere. So
I do actually.
if I'm running into your time, it's
No,
we've
it's
had
all
a
right.
great conversation so far.
We have.
Can start to wrap it up.
I would like you to come back if that's okay.
Of
Another time.
course.
Yeah, yeah. This has actually
Yeah,
been a
and you
really,
know
really
what?
good talk.
The thing is, I can talk about, there's a lot of other things I'd love to talk to you about too, because it's not just these general things too, but we can talk about specifics in scripture and other things like
Sure,
that too. I
sure.
think there's great discussion there.
Yeah,
But
yeah, absolutely,
uh,
absolutely.
you know
Okay.
what? I think we've had a great discussion, even
Yeah,
though
I agree.
we agree, disagree, and agree on a
That's
lot of
okay.
different things.
Yeah, I don't mind disagreement. That's okay. But I'm more of a fan of the discussion, which it was a really good discussion. But yeah, I'd like to invite you back another day. I'm usually on every day at this time.
Okay.
Not quite this late because I was a guest host on another program. So, but usually like like an hour earlier is like when I wrap up. But if you can make it, before like 7:30 Eastern time, then you can catch me. I'm usually here.
Yeah, it has been great talking to you. I
Yeah.
shot you a follow, so I'm gonna
Excellent, Xander.
I'll probably tune into you some another time. But
Okay.
it's been, I feel like we had a productive discussion at least. So
Agreed. Yeah. All right, Xander. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming up, and we'll talk again.
yeah, you have a
All
nice
right.
rest of your day
Yeah, you too.
or night.
Yeah, you too.
Bye bye.
All right. All right. So guess stay where you are. I'm gonna write your names down. Oh, one left. Okay, the one came back. There you go. Marco, I have your name down. Let's see. Anthony. Do I have Anthony's name? Yes, I have Anthony. Denny 1. Yes, I have you. Chris Slaughter and Santino and Sophia. I have you guys. Okay. So the next time I'm on, you 5 will have fast passes. So next time I'm on, I'm usually on between like 3 and 7:30 Eastern time. And so if I'm on during that time tomorrow and you come into my live, you get sent to the front of the line, no matter how many people are in the guest slot. And so if I am already with somebody, then you'll be the very next guest. So this will be tomorrow, and it's only good for tomorrow. So you got to see me tomorrow to cash in your fast pass. Okay, you guys got it? All right, yeah, you got it. I think it's because you guys were waiting, so I want to talk to everybody. Same topic. It will be the same topic. I'm gonna stick on this topic for a while because it's a good topic to talk about. So, but yeah, I gotta go. I gotta feed my family, so all that stuff. But you guys were awesome. So let me bring up my. I do my usual thing. I bring up my my mods to thank them and for people to thank them as well. To give them, like, if you got a spare penny for the mods, like a rose, that'd be great to send roses to my mods because they did such a great job. I usually have like 8 of you in here. Is there anybody else I missed? I think 7 Lemons went out the back door.
I think
He escaped. He's like, I gotta go. I don't want any roses. So yes, I thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I really, really appreciate you keeping the chat like, all in good stuff. So Marco Gutierrez, it's noon to 4:30 Pacific time. Yeah, 3 to 7:30 Eastern time. Okay, no problem. But I just wanted chat, just give some pennies to these guys. They deserve it. So I thank you guys for doing all the great work, doing all the hard work. So
Well, thank you, Trust.
oh, and the Bible guy is on, so we can go raid the Bible guy. Yeah, there we go. The Bible guy is live right now. That'd be yeah. So let's everybody raid the Bible guy. And just when you go in, just type in the chat TBV raid. I don't know if he knows who I am. I haven't met him, but I've seen his stuff. He's really good. So you guys will really enjoy the Bible guy. So please do that. And I really, really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And the same with you in Deconstruction Junction. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Forever the Atheist.
Oh no. Oh, sorry. No, he's kind of like joyful.
Okay, Joyful Apostate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. So yes, same with Deconstruction Junction. Go raid the Bible Guys stream. I think he's live on YouTube too. So go raid his stream. You guys will really enjoy it. Thank you guys, and I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. I love you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's a great Monday. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow. All right. Have a good night. Take care.
You as well.
All right. Take care, guys.
You too. Bye bye.
Right.